across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good evening. Now, stay inside. You could all die if you go outside. It's so hot. You know, it's a nice, sunny summer day. You could be in danger. So I'm glad you're going to stay in and watch this show or listen to it. That is the sensible way forward. Climate change. Such an emergency. Anyway, good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I am your host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you for 3 top-quality hours of news, views and dazzling debate all the way to 10 o'clock. Get on the show and get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. Can't say fairer than that. It is Thursday, June the 19th. Here's what's coming up. Britain's scandalously lenient treatment of the rape gang fiends. 2 tiers left-wing little lawyer chum Lord Richard Hermer refused to review absurdly light sentences handed down to 4 men who systematically raped and sexually abused teenage girls in the Yorkshire town of Keighley, despite urgent pleas from both local MP Robbie Moore and Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick. The profoundly unpopular Britain-hating Attorney General ruled that 4 years for rape, you know, gang rape, was sufficient punishment. Was it? 0344 499 1000. Meanwhile, the border farce turns into a sick comedy as French cops fail to stop an old man on crutches hobbling across the beach and clambering onto a waiting small boat. Ooh la la, les gendarmes are clearly doing next to nothing to stop either the migrants or the boats. What is the UK getting for the £800 million we gave Macron for the French police to patrol their beaches? We seem to have paid them a vast sum of money just for them to stand and watch while the cross-channel summer invasion continues apace. Another 244 sailed to Britain's promised land yesterday, adding to the 489 who arrived on Tuesday, taking the towering tally for the past week alone to 2,466. 2,466. Who will cost British taxpayers over the next year an eye-watering £98,640,000. Nearly £100 million. That's how much the migrants from the past week alone will cost us over the next year. And as this ongoing disaster unfolds day after ruinous day, lay cops are little more than spectators. And why do they dress in full riot gear? I mean, they fire a bit of tear gas around to no effect. The migrants just walk around it. They hold riot shields. Why? Why? They're just watching migrants traipse across the beach, into the sea and into their boats. Unbelievable. 0344 499 1000 also tonight. Here's what's happened. Here's what happens when we just let in foreign men about whom we know nothing. Stand by for the horror story of an Afghani asylum seeker who arrived here illegally on a small boat 2 years ago and soon afterwards raped a 15-year-old girl behind the back of a Scottish pub. His defence: he had not been educated about the significant cultural differences between Afghanistan and the United Kingdom. As in the land of the Taliban, they're pretty laid back about rape. Here, not so much. When he got 12 years, this animal went berserk, dragged kicking and screaming from court, repeatedly shouting that the judge was a liar. Yeah, mate, and you're a rapist. I hope you like prison food. Shocking proof that the migration policies of successive governments, especially the current one, have turned Britain into a dangerous country for women, a place where it's not safe for women to walk the streets. How appalling is that? 03444 991,000. We'll also have a look at the Notting Hill Carnival, where people die every year, where people get stabbed. Last year, 60 cops were injured, 2 people murdered, 8 stabbed. And that sort of tally of violence goes back to when it started in 1966. 2 million people arrived to attend that festival in the late summer every year. Too many people are dying, too many people are getting stabbed. There's fighting on the streets, there's defecating on the streets, people have sex on the streets. The question is, should we allow this to go on? The organisers are saying we need more money in order to safeguard this event, in order to pay the police more so they can properly police it, but I don't even think that will do it. Do you? The question is do we now ban? Do we axe the Notting Hill Carnival? What do you think? 03444 991,000. And finally, Royal Guru Kinsey Schofield on Meghan's latest podcast disaster. And a disaster it seriously is. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Thursday night together. And for the first hour, in an hour's time, by the way, I should have mentioned, it's Dr. Renee Hundekamp, call Dr. Renee, so get your medical questions ready. She'll be here from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock. Call Dr. Renee, she's here to help. You know the drill. If you're not feeling very well or you have trouble with the NHS, can't get to see your GP, unhappy with your treatment, or you just don't feel too well, call Dr. Renee on 0344 499 1000. She's here to help. But for the first hour, before Dr. Renee arrives and we open the surgery, I'm going to get through this hour in the excellent company of the Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kilsley. Welcome to the show, Philip.
Hi, Kev. It's great to see you again.
Always a pleasure. I've got some good ones for you, right up your street, I think. Well, first up, I broke this story last night. Well, I broke it because it broke in the Telegraph, so I read it out immediately. It is the story of Richard Hermer, the Attorney General, you know, two-tier Keir's left-wing little human rights lawyer chum, who he made a lord so he could become Attorney General. Well, there's a story up in Keighley. There were 4 guys, a rape gang. They were convicted of a series of rapes, systematically raping 2 teenage girls up there. And their sentences were, what I would suggest, was scandalously lenient. One of them, you know, clearly a convicted rapist, raping these poor girls systematically, got 4 years. Another was found guilty of 11 counts of rape. 11. He got 14 years. 11 rapes, 14 years. You know, not much more than 1 year per rape. Think about that. Now, all of them sort of didn't get much time behind bars at all when you consider the serious nature of their horrendous crimes. Now, both the Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick and the local MP Robbie Moore have wrote to Richard Hermer and said these sentences are too lenient. You know, we've got to review these sentences. And Richard Hermer, par for the course for him, decided there was no need to review what Robbie Moore, the local MP, called weak and grossly inadequate sentences. So there you go. Meanwhile, it gets worse. 2 members of a Rochdale rape gang prosecuted for sexually exploiting, wait for it, 47 young girls, cannot be deported. They're Pakistani. But listen to this, you won't believe this. They can't be deported because they ripped up their Pakistani passports and renounced their citizenship. They were convicted in 2012 and 2018 after their convictions and prison sentences. A court upheld their deportation because we revoked their British citizenship. A third gang member was allowed to stay also after tearing up his Pakistani passport. Negotiations are going on now between British officials and Pakistan, which says, apparently to Britain's satisfaction, that they can't take back these Pakistani nationals because they ripped up their passports and renounced their citizenship. Well, why don't we just say that? Well, that doesn't mean you're no longer a Pakistani citizen. So, you know, you got those appallingly lenient sentences of a rape gang in Keighley, and these Rochdale rapists allowed to stay in the country because we've accepted that the act of tearing up their passports means they're no longer Pakistani citizens. What the hell is going on here, Philip?
Do you know what? I read that and I just couldn't believe it. And just listening to you detail it just makes it even crazier. It's like a spoof, isn't it? It's like we're living in
sick comedy, yeah.
Well, it's like we're living in an episode of Brass Eye, or we're stuck in a Monty Python sketch or not the 9 o'clock news sketch. Yeah. It's that stupid. It's totally ridiculous. But one of the things it really does say to me is it's that they don't want to do anything about this. If there's something so monstrously stupid that they allow to get in the way, they don't want to do anything about it. They're not massively serious about it. Hermer doesn't take this stuff seriously. What he takes seriously is the fallout and the bad press and the PR and all of that kind of thing. But deep down, and I think this is the real key thing, Kev, with all of these people, deep down, they don't blame the Pakistani perpetrators, the gangs of middle-aged perverts. They actually blame the 10-year-olds and what they call the promiscuous 12-year-olds. Right?
Hermer, Philip, has got a very long track record of going very easy on sex criminals. He seems to have a thing about it. He doesn't seem to believe they deserve to do all that much time behind bars. I would take issue with him. But this is the latest example of it, you know. So if we go back to these 4 guys, you know, one of them convicted of rape, you know, these are these little girls that they raped systematically. It was rape gang rape. One of them was convicted of this awful crime. He got 4.5 years. Another one, as I said in my monologue, found guilty of 11 counts of rape, got 14 years. That's only just over 1 year per rape. You know, how are we going to sort the rape gang scandal out if the perpetrators have got off so lightly? And also we know that there are loads of them just walking around who had their cases dropped because that was the prevailing culture of the time. We did a story the other night about a poor young guy who was the result of a rape gang rape. His father raped his mother when she was 14. Her mother went to the police and said, you know, my daughter was raped by a gang in a hotel room. And so they did arrest the guy, the perpetrator, the father of the guy who came onto my show. They arrested him, they charged him, and then later the Crown Prosecution Service, guess what? As per so often in this saga, dropped the case. The grandmother went back, a fine woman by the way, went back to the police and said, my daughter was 14, she was raped by a group of men in a hotel room. What are you going to do? You can't drop this case. And they said, look, take a tip, take a bit of advice. Just leave it, just drop it, get on with your life. This was the story of what was going on. And this basically is the story of what's happened here. We've kind of swept the whole thing under the carpet with lenient sentences and turning a blind eye.
Yeah, and again, it's because they don't think it's serious and they don't care, basically. I mean, I've got a quote here from Baroness Casey, okay, and she said, flawed data was used repeatedly to dismiss claims about Asian grooming gangs as sensationalized, biased, or untrue, okay? So what they're doing here, they're actively undermining any kind of effective safeguarding that we might have by telling lies about the data, by not recording ethnicity, okay, by fiddling with the data. So we're in a situation at the moment, Kev, where certainly over the last 10, 15, 20 years, safeguarding for the most vulnerable people in this country, the white working class kids from very, very poor backgrounds, they have about as much safeguarding as your bog standard Pakistani mountain village. Okay, that's about that's about where we are. Probably less, actually, probably less, because they are, and this is a key point, because they are being targeted because they are white, they are infidels, they are poor, and they are vulnerable.
Check this out, right? Look at all the pictures. Now, look, it's fair to say not enough men have been convicted of these appalling rape gang crimes, but a fair few have. I think it goes into the hundreds, but the scale of it was much, much bigger than that. Now, you look at all the pictures of these people. You've seen these galleries, these grotesque galleries. Yeah, like that. These are our 4 friends, I think, in Keighley. Yeah, look at them. Look at them, right? Okay. These are clearly not white men, are they? They're not white British men. Some of them may be British. What they are is, as we know, they are predominantly Muslim men of Pakistani heritage who preyed on vulnerable young white girls, many of them underage. Now, the Bien Pensant classes, the Guardian reading North Londoners, in fact, the Guardian writers, some of them, are still clinging on to what was going on before by saying, well, look, you know, yes, there's some men of Pakistani origin, but there's no evidence that they were the majority of these rapists. Yeah. They're still saying the majority of these rapists, these gang rapists, were probably white. Well, the ones who've been convicted are nearly all Muslim men of Pakistani origin. Nearly all. And why is it that people like Polly Toynbee, who literally did write this the other day, why are they able to say, oh, well, there's no evidence that the majority were, you know? It's because of this. Because in 2/3 of the convictions, 2/3 of the cases, the ethnicity of the culprits was not recorded.
Exactly. It's not recorded, exactly. But we still do have a fair amount of evidence and cases.
What we know, Philip, is had the ethnicity been recorded, it would have told the same picture.
Oh, yes, it would have coloured it even more. But what we've got here is 4% of the population committing roughly 64% of these kind of sex crimes, okay? So that is absolutely devastating. Talk about being overrepresented. So there is something massively wrong here, but it's being compounded by a chattering class and an elite class, the authorities and the police. It's being compounded by these people who essentially just want to keep a lid on it, keep it quiet, and for it to carry on, because what we've got, as I've said before, are these girls who are the sacrifice. They are the sacrifice at the altar of political correctness, aren't they? Because if we open this lid and we let it all come out, we let all this poison come out, we let it poison our society, what we have is evidence, absolute evidence that these people got it wrong. Their view, their worldview is completely upside down, and it's criminally upside down, and they are making it even more criminally upside down by still trying to lie about it, by still messing about with the data, by still blaming the victims, okay, and by still saying, no, everything's all right, you know, all immigrants welcome, all cultures are equal, and it's nothing to do with Islam. If you say that, then you're Islamophobic.
You're a racist. You're Islamophobic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, people, we've been saying this for years and years and years, and the amount of times I've been called racist or Islamophobic, and I'm from an immigrant background myself, as I've said before, okay? Not any of those things. But what I do care about is safeguarding. I care about it in society, culture, and schools, and education, because I'm from an education background. And I really, really want us to deal with this canker, this cancer, this poison that's in society.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 points to make. Britain has got to stop accepting that just because someone rips up their passport, it doesn't mean they're no longer a citizen of that country that passport belongs to. That is just absurd. So we've got to stop that. I've got a good text also from Lash, who points, I won't read it all out, thank you Lash, but he's pointing out 4 years for rape. He said that's not much more than Lucy Connolly got for hurty words on Facebook. Very good point, Lash. Two-tier justice rearing its extremely ugly head again in the land of two-tier care. When we come back, Philip, we're going to talk about the border farce. This is, I mean, you know, you got to laugh, but you want to cry. We're going to tell the story, among others, of the French police failing to stop an old man on crutches making it to the sea and onto a dinghy. I mean, he's got to be 75 and he's on crutches. I'm thinking, why are you coming to Britain? You're going to make a new life for yourself? You want the next 20 weeks that you're going to be alive to be really great? I mean, it's unbelievable. We'll talk about that next.
The United States is immensely powerful militarily and is therefore prepared to undertake actions which can hugely unbalance the world. The problem is it may be very powerful militarily and have the biggest and best bombs in the world, but it's proved to be very poor at building new states after it's destroyed the ones that existed before.
Yeah.
One thing, particularly of Iraq and also in Afghanistan, where all the efforts of the United States over many years were totally defeated by the Taliban, who are now back in charge. So is this wise? The obvious answer is no.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still speaking to the Senior Fellow for the New Culture Forum, Philip Kilsley. Philip, let's talk about the migrant crisis. First of all, let's get the statistics into place, shall we? I think it's something like 44,000 have come across since the Labour government came into power and announced their plans to solve the crisis by smashing the gangs. No gangs smashed so far after 11 months, almost a year, and no sign of any gangs being remotely smashed. So that's not really working. As I said in my monologue, the tally for last week alone, this is since, I believe, last Thursday, may have been last Wednesday, but basically for the last week, 2,466, 480, I think it was something 909 or something last Friday. On Tuesday, 489, and yesterday another 244 sailed over. So they are coming over at a rate of knots. As I also mentioned, if you add up what this week's tally will cost British taxpayers over the next year, that comes to an eye-watering £98,640,000, almost £100 million. That's just 1 week's worth of migrants. Now, why are they coming across in such numbers? First of all, the weather's perfect. It's always bad in the summer. But secondly, also, of course, the complete lack of deterrence when they get to Britain. But a big factor is that the French cops don't do anything about it. We seem to have given Macron £800 million over the years for the gendarmes to stand there as spectators and watch the migrants walk across the beach into the sea and then onto their waiting dinghies, where, by the way, because the custom is so good, because business is booming, the evil people smuggling gangs are able to offer bargain basement prices now, because even last week apparently they were going for 1,500 quid. Tickets now are down to 250 quid. So it's a cheap old ride these days. But anyway, one of the people who got across 2 days ago was an old man on crutches. They couldn't even stop him. Most of this action is going on the Gravelines beach, 15 miles east of Calais, where yesterday morning, 50 police, there he is, there's our... I mean, I shouldn't laugh.
You can't help it, right? Because I'm looking at that image, and through my mind, I'm playing the kind of Benny Hill theme.
But yeah, I know.
Because I know that the ridiculous cops are just out of the picture, and it's hilarious, you know.
Yeah, well, so what happened? This is the scene with our crutch guy. This is unfolded yesterday morning. He'd apparently previously tried to get on a boat the day before, but, you know, his disability got the best of him and he just couldn't quite make it. But yesterday morning, no problem, he managed to make it. So he got onto a boat. Hope he enjoys Britain. Anyway, so what happened yesterday? There's 50 cops, by the way, absolutely pointlessly dressed in riot gear. Yeah. Why? Some of them have got riot shields. You know, what they're doing now is they're firing tear gas at the migrants. Even I don't want them to do that. And partly because I just think that's useless. That's just performative. You know it is. And secondly, because it's completely ineffective. The migrants just walk round the smoke. They just walk round the smoke. Then they get into the sea. We keep hearing that, oh, the French, les gendarmes have finally agreed to enter the sea and follow the migrants, stop the boats there. Well, I'm not sure it's going to be in this footage, but what you could see yesterday morning was indeed there was a police boat. You might be able to see it. I think it might be there. Beyond that dinghy, yeah. It's just sort of circling around, monitoring. Yeah, there it is. Just monitoring, just watching. So all the French police are doing is firing a bit of tear gas, wearing stupid riot gear, and watching the migrants leave. We're getting nothing for our money.
I mean, but this as well is the week that Angela Rayner said that they'd got the borders under control.
Yeah, she said that yesterday, didn't she?
It's just a complete and utter a bare-faced lie, and you know, so that's what we're dealing with. So the level of gaslighting is through the roof. But this is one of these things, and we're laughing at this, and maybe we shouldn't laugh at this, but it's the kind of gallows humour that you've got to.
Yeah, it's black humour, but it's funny. You know, there's no doubt about it.
You think about how much it's costing, you think about the social and cultural cost, then, oh, God, you just cry. But it's one of those moments where I'm just looking at this, and when people see that footage and they know the context in years to come, it's one of those moments, isn't it, where people will look back and say, my God, that was a crazy time.
And here's another. Let's talk about the Prime Minister's approach. Meanwhile, he's got to stop this. You know, he doesn't see, Starmer doesn't seem to understand, and his acolytes, they don't seem to understand that we've really moved beyond the point where performative headline hunting will somehow, you know, put a sticking plaster over this escalating crisis. So, you know, when they first came up with the cliche, smash the gangs, you know, Rishi Sunak was stop the boats. You know, remember that on his, stop the boats. He didn't stop the boats. cliches, Starmer's cliche is smash the gangs. Always 3 words, isn't it? We've gone past that. He can't keep saying we smash the gangs. We've given the Border Security Command another £280 million for state-of-the-art high-tech surveillance equipment. Oh, shut up! Nothing. This isn't working. Stop saying this. We need something else, something more effective. Meanwhile, those of us, who say, like, stop the boats, we're called racists, just like when we called for a rape gang inquiry. We were far right, we were climbing on the far right bandwagon. Let's quickly talk about this, because I've got another very important story for you to discuss in a second, Philip. But this business of the Prime Minister accusing anyone who was calling for a rape gang inquiry of climbing onto a far-right bandwagon. I still can't understand where he was coming from. He said that in January. He is trying to excuse that. So I wasn't saying it about everybody. I was just saying it about politicians. Well, OK. Well, let's just have a look at him talking, and then we'll come back. Here is Starmer on his right-wing bandwagon.
Said some of the people calling it were jumping on a right-wing bandwagon. Are you going to apologise for that?
Well, the people I was referring to, and I made this absolutely clear when I said it, were the politicians who had been in power and done absolutely nothing. And then as soon as they're out of power, are screaming and shouting. So Kemi Badenoch, Chris Philp, those individuals, when they were in power, did absolutely nothing. Now, I've been campaigning and working on this for 15 years, and have as many other people. Initially, we were looking at local inquiries, but I asked Louise Casey to just do an audit to assure me there wasn't more that we could do. She's done that. She's written that up. It's a pretty long report. I've read every single word of it. She's recommended a national inquiry. I accept her recommendation.
Yeah, he keeps saying, I've read every single word of it. It's like he's kind of boasting that he can read or something. He keeps saying, I've read every single word. Well done, you're supposed to read every single word. God's sake. He's trying to make a virtue out of what it should be his job. But, so I wasn't referring to, I was referring to politicians. The question still remains. Why were Kemi Badenoch, Chris Philp, and all the others that he accuses, Nigel Farage, of course, why were they climbing onto a right-wing bandwagon? Why did he say that? They weren't. They were calling for an inquiry into the worst sexual scandal in British history. He needs to explain why he accused them of climbing onto a far-right bandwagon. Why is it far-right to want justice for the poor victims of the rape gang scandal?
Well, again, I actually remember him calling the British people far right. I actually remember him doing it.
Far right thugs in Southport, of course.
It's this gaslighting which again will come back to haunt him, because he doesn't know the level of contempt that we hold him in because of all of this lies, because he is trying to hold up this fiction, this fantasy that he is doing something, that they are coping with it, that it isn't actually, all of this stuff isn't a result of all of their ideas and worldview. That's the problem, okay? And the only reason we're getting this inquiry is for 2 things. One, because the report was so incredibly damning, there would be people running in the streets if they did nothing about it, okay? It's incredibly damning.
Yeah.
Okay?
It doesn't have anything that we didn't know.
It doesn't have anything.
But it wasn't the report that Starmer wanted. He thought he would get a report that said, you see, we don't need a rape gang inquiry, but he didn't get the report he wanted. He had no choice after Louise Casey delivered her report, 190 pages, a very damning 190 pages. Just quickly, we must move on in a second.
There's just one more thing as well. So that's one thing. It's that damning report with all of that material drawn together, and you just can't say no to it. And 2, of course, reformer riding high in the polls.
Yeah, there's that.
That's what it.
I want to play to you Starmer calling politicians right-wing, far right, for wanting an inquiry in January. This is when he said it in January. Watch this.
And when politicians, and I mean politicians, who sat in government for many years, are casual about honesty, decency, truth, and the rule of law, calling for inquiries because they want to jump on a bandwagon of the far right, then that affects politics, because a robust debate can only...
Yeah, so why is it? Why are they jumping on a bandwagon of the far right? He seems to, well, the way he seems to be trying to wheedle out of this is by saying, I wasn't accusing the British people of jumping on a far right bandwagon. I was only accusing politicians of jumping on a far right bandwagon. I don't really care. I want him to explain why he thinks that anyone, politician or normal citizen, calling for a public inquiry into the worst sexual scandal in British history, was climbing onto a far right bandwagon. It doesn't matter if it's politicians or people. That's what he needs to explain. I could probably give you the reason anyway, because if his approach to anyone who doesn't agree with him politically is to call them far right.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in the university sector for 25 years, and that was if anyone disagreed with you, or if you disagreed with the orthodoxy, then you were somehow a racist, or you were somehow far right.
Yeah, that's it.
You could be racist, but what happened at that time, and it was last year, wasn't it? It was last summer. I think they sat down and they thought, what term can we come up with to really shut people up? What term can we? Ordinary people who are concerned about very ordinary things like safeguarding and borders. What can we do? What name? What slur can we come up with?
Yeah.
I know, far right. Okay. Yeah. Kind of neo-Nazi. That's
okay. Yeah, you're Nazi. They always got the Nazi in their back pocket. You know, if you don't collapse when they accuse you of being far right, they might pull out the Nazi gun. I mean, that's my point, though. I want the audience.
Association, basically.
Yeah.
It's association.
Absolutely. I want the audience to give me a call and let me know what they think about this, because it's driving me nuts. It doesn't matter whether he was accusing the British people or politicians of being on a far-right bandwagon if they wanted a rape inquiry. We want him to explain why he thought in January, and appears to still sort of think it, that calling for a rape gang inquiry, public inquiry, was somehow far-right. That's what he needs to. It doesn't matter if it's politicians or the people. Why does he think that was? Why did he think that was far right? That's what the Prime Minister needs to explain, and that's what we should not let him get away with. The fact he hasn't explained that yet. Give me a call. Let me know what you think about that. 0344 499 1000. When we come back, I'm going to give you a story that proves why we really shouldn't be letting in thousands and thousands of young men, asylum seekers, migrants, illegal migrants, without knowing a damn thing about them. Stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still talking to the Senior Fellow for the New Culture Forum, Philip Kilsley. Philip, here's a good one for you. Well, not good, actually. This is what happens when you let in thousands and thousands of young men of military age who break into this country illegally. This is what happens when you just let them in and you don't ask any questions and you don't know anything about them. This is the story of a Afghani asylum seeker, a guy called Sadek Niksad. He arrived here illegally on a small boat 2 years ago. And of course was simply allowed to stay, no questions asked. He was billeted up in Scotland, given a hotel up there. Soon after arriving up in Scotland, he raped a vulnerable 15-year-old girl in Falkirk after approaching her and asking for her phone number and if she had a boyfriend. Edinburgh Crown Court heard how the paedophile Niksad, he's 29 years old, subjected his traumatised victim to a terrifying, opportunistic sex attack at the back of a pub called the Courtyard. She was apparently heard screaming, "I'm only 15." Now, this monster's defence, his defence was heard at Edinburgh Crown Court. He was actually sentenced yesterday at Livingston High Court, but his defence was at a hearing at Edinburgh Crown Court. His defence was, check this out, that his defence lawyer, told a pre-trial hearing that her client had not been educated, I'm quoting here, had not been educated about the significant cultural differences between Afghanistan and Britain. In other words, in Afghanistan, they're pretty laid back about rape. Here, we take it quite seriously. That was his defence. Well, you know, I didn't quite know there was such a bad thing in this country. Now, we didn't know anything about this guy. We're letting in hundreds of thousands of these people. We don't ask any questions of the legal migrants as well. Well, this government, previous governments as well, for the past 13, 15 years, we have had governments whose migration policies have turned this country into a dangerous hellhole for women. This country, Britain, is not safe for women because of these migration policies, the various governments' migration policies, this current government's policies being the worst of the lot. That is a scandal almost beyond comprehension, isn't it?
I think what we're seeing now, we've had years and years and years of mass immigration, and we are seeing the very definite consequences of mass immigration, aren't we? And top of the list, I think, for most of this stuff is sexual violence and paedophilia. Okay, now the kinds of places that these people are coming from, who'd have thought? Yes, of course. Now it's criminal that they've been allowed in to wreak havoc in the way that they have done, but they were allowed in. People did know that this was going to happen. If you've got any knowledge of cultures in the Middle East, Pakistan, all of those places, you know that this kind of stuff is going to happen. So what we have now, Kevin, is essentially a war that's being waged within this country. It doesn't have a name, but it is specifically a war, and it's a war against women, and it's a war against children. And governments, over, as you say, over the last 15, 20 years, since Blair, essentially, they opened the doors and they let these hordes of barbarians in to rape women and prey on children. That's where we are. Those are the consequences, because every story we've been on this show so many times, we've talked about so many stories, and they're all about rape, they're all about paedophilia, they're all about brutal abuse towards women and children. Now, this used to be a haven. This country used to be a haven for women and children. People could walk down the streets. Now you can't even walk down the streets in London. I've got lots of friends in London. You live in London. Everybody says, oh, they just get their phones stolen, or they're groped, they're abused, they're verbally abused. It's just appalling, and it's happening more and more and more because, very specifically, the borders are open. They are coming in, and they're even coming in on crutches. What can you say?
And don't forget these riots in Ballymena over the past week or so. They're due to an alleged sexual crime by two 14-year-old Romanian migrants. Now, more and more towns, more and more cities are getting saturated by migrants. You know, tens of thousands, fairly small towns, suddenly 20,000 migrants imposed upon them. These migrants are predominantly young males of military age, between the age of 16, 17, 18 and 35, 40. They're young men. They got nothing to do. They're not allowed to work, which, by the way, I think is correct. If we start giving them jobs, we'll never get rid of them. Mind you, we don't get rid of them anyway. They commit crimes that annoys and frustrates the local community. They behave in a threatening way. It becomes very difficult for women. But when they start committing sexual crimes, the local community are wont to erupt like they did in Ballymena, frankly like they did in Southport. They were kind of wrong, the perpetrator of those awful dance hall murders. That terrible slaughter of those poor little girls was not actually a migrant, he was just the son of a migrant. So in a way, the rioters weren't a million miles away. But when local communities start thinking, well, you've put 20,000 unknown foreigners in our midst and they've just raped one of our girls, that community is going to go mad, and that is going to start happening, I fear, across this summer. By the way, just a footnote on the story of our friend Sadek Nikzad. He's 29. When he got sentenced at Livingstone High Court yesterday, he got 12 years, and he went berserk. 12 years? 12 years? All I did was attack a traumatised 15-year-old girl behind a pub. So he got 12 years. He's going to do 9 years and then be put on licence. He'll be deported straight away after that, allegedly, hopefully. He went berserk, screaming, gesticulating wildly, shouting liar at the judge. And as I said, Judge John Morris, his name is. I don't suppose John Morris is a liar at all, but it's like Nick says going, you're a liar, liar, liar. Yeah, mate, and you're a rapist, and you better like, as I said in my monologue, I hope you like prison food. But this is serious. I think we're at breaking point with this, and it's watch this space, because there are so many migrants up and down the length of the land, mostly young men with nothing to do. It's a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
It's a recipe for disaster, and every single example is an example of the grotesque. I can give you another one. There was a woman who fell off a bicycle and hurt herself, and there were some foreign men just near her. She asked for help, and they helped her all right. They dragged her into a field and raped her. So it's all of that kind of stuff. But if you've got 20,000 immigrants descending on a small town, right, you are going to devastate that small town. You are going to end it. It's over. The whole history of the town. It's finished. It becomes something else, okay? And people are so concerned because the authorities, the people who are supposed to protect them, the people they pay their taxes to, okay, are doing nothing to protect them. They are doing nothing to protect women and children. They are actually doing the opposite. They are sacrificing women and children to the altar of mass immigration, and it has to stop.
Yeah, just briefly, we've got to move on, but my friend and colleague here, Alex Phillips, was on my show last night, and she was explaining when you import hundreds of thousands, actually, but thousands and thousands of young men from Muslim cultures, Middle Eastern cultures, Afghanistan, where women are not even allowed to show a big toe, can't see their face or anything like that, and you import them into Britain, where we have a kind of highly sexualised culture, and they see the way women dress here, it kind of drives them wild. And Alex was saying that she speaks for a generation of women who now really do think seriously about what they wear before they go out. So, they're covering up, even in this hot weather, for fear that they might be attacked. It's out of control, Philip, but so we better move on. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the Notting Hill Carnival. That next, stay tuned.
the United States is immensely powerful militarily and is therefore prepared to undertake actions which can hugely unbalance the world. The problem is it may be very powerful militarily and have the biggest and best bombs in the world, but it's proved to be very poor at building new states after it's destroyed the ones that existed before.
Yeah.
One thing, particularly of Iraq and also in Afghanistan, where all the efforts of the United States over many years were totally defeated by the Taliban, who are now back in charge. So is this wise? The obvious answer is no.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, call Dr. Renee after the 8 o'clock news. Dr. Renee Hundekamp in the studio answering all your medical questions. You know the drill. If you health issues, you're having problems with the NHS, can't get to see your GP, you're unhappy with your treatment, or you just don't feel too well, doesn't have to be you. Could be a friend, could be a loved one, could be a spouse, a partner. Call Dr. Renee on 03444 99 1000. She's here to help. I'm still with Philip Kilsey, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. Just got time for this, Philip. Now, Notting Hill Carnival, there are calls now, or it seems to be in trouble. Basically, the organisers are begging Lisa Nandy, the Culture Secretary, for more money. They need this to safeguard this huge event. 2 million people every year, spills over 3 days. You know the story. Last year, 2 murders, 8 stabbings, 75 coppers injured, hundreds of arrests, sex and defecating in the streets. This 2 million strong celebration of diversity. This festival of fun, largely Afro-Caribbean celebrating, nothing wrong with that, of course. I mean, it's basically, it kills people. It has been killing people since it started in 1966. The police are overrun every year. Last year they were overwhelmed. They always are. The numbers are too big. So I'm not a banner, you know, I'm a libertarian at heart. I don't like banning things or rules, regulations. But when you have an event, essentially a social event that is killing people, that people die at, guaranteed every year, and people get stabbed, often raped, defecating in the streets, sex in the streets, but it's the killing and the stabbings. I think you have to draw the line. No, I cannot support a social event that kills people. What's your stand?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't think of any other single event in which all of these things happen. And that litany of things that you just described there, I would add the sexual abuse of police officers as well. That
yeah,
was
they twerk at them, don't they? Right up front. Yeah.
They touch. Yeah, so
coppers are sexually assaulted, essentially.
Coppers are sexually assaulted, right? I can't think of any other event which wouldn't be shut down tomorrow with all of that stuff that's just happening there. Now, I'm like you, right? I'm a libertarian. I don't like rules and regulations. I don't like censorship. I don't like closing things down. But this is fundamentally really, really dangerous. And it's not just that we have to accept it. We have to grin along and cheer it as well, because if we don't, of course, we are racist.
Racists, yeah.
It's almost like Death Race 2000 or Rollerball. You know, it's I'm full of the old references tonight, but it's true. It's almost as though we have to grin along to this thing no matter what, and there's all of this devastation and all of this violence. It's a festival of violence, and yet here we are, and then we have to lie about it and say it's about diversity and bringing people together. It really isn't. It's the opposite. It's typical of Orwellian Britain. It's where we are. It's really. Because you have to lie about it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'll tell you who always lies about it. What happens is you get like day one. I think it goes like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, doesn't it? You get day one and you'll always get some kind of tally of violence, sometimes a death, a few stabbings. And then you'll get this probably day two, the same kind of, but as sure as night follows day, towards the end of the second day, as people are starting to say, people are dying, people are getting stabbed, this is out of control. Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, will step up and issue a statement saying another wonderful celebration of diversity, you know, a tribute to multicultural London. Yeah, Sadiq, only the problem is people are dying there. I mean, you know, you're right. There's this kind of parallel universe of the reality of what it is and the fantasy version that Sadiq Khan and liberals like him deliver to us.
And of course it's fueled by hard drugs as well, because what happens,
a lot of drugs there, yeah.
When you look at what happens, so there's a few deaths on the Monday, then everyone goes berserk on the next day because they're massively drunk and they're full of drugs as well, and so that just adds into this toxic mix, and we just have to accept it. This is the crazy thing, and I as I said before, I can't think of another single event. Maybe viewers can phone in about this, I don't know, but I can't think of another single event in which this wouldn't just be closed down tomorrow because it's so toxic and it's so dangerous.
It is. It's an extraordinary thing, but it'll happen this year again. But there are now calls to axe it. Other people say, why not move it into a more contained area, maybe Hyde Park or something like that? Certainly, we've got to look at the Notting Hill Carnival. As I say, I hate banning anything. I don't like all that sort of stuff, but I can't sanction a social event that kills people. It's as simple as that. Philip, fantastic to talk to you as always. That was Philip Kilsey, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. As I said just now, after the 8 o'clock news, it's Call Dr. Renee with any of your health problems. It doesn't have to be you. It can be a friend or a loved one. Call Dr. Renee on 0344 499 1000. She's here to help. Back in just a little while.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is the second hour of tonight's Political Asylum, and it's Thursday, so that means it's Call Dr. Renee. Yes, GP extraordinaire. Renee Hunterkamp is in the studio. Hi, Renee.
Hello.
She's here to take your calls about any of your health issues. You're not feeling very well, you've got health problems, you can't get to see your GP, nobody can. You might have problems with the NHS, who hasn't? And maybe you're just not happy with your treatment. You know the drill. Call Dr. Renee on 0344 499 1000. She's here to help. But what we like to do for the first section of this excellent hour is discuss a couple of medical issues. And I think the big medical story, which actually suddenly from nowhere, out of nowhere, suddenly unfolded yesterday, was this new abortion law. Where, well, in fact, we basically scrapped our abortion laws. Now, you put my cards on the table. I'm pro-choice. I think women have the right to make their own decisions about their bodies, but only to a point where it's medically safe. And now it is considered medically safe in this country until 24 weeks. Actually, other countries have much shorter time spans. I think in America, of course, they banned it in quite a few states, but 13 states, I think. But some of the states that do allow it, it's 12 weeks.
No, they have 6 weeks. They have the heartbeat rule. 6 weeks.
How do you even know you're pregnant after 6 weeks? But you know what I mean. Anyway, it's 24 weeks here. So I'm prepared to go along with that. So my view on it is as long as it's medically safe, a woman has the right to make the decision about what she wants to do. Now, the law that Labour got through yesterday, with no debate, came out of nowhere.
2 hours.
Yeah. The public didn't know about it at all, was to basically abandon all laws. There's now no laws against when you can and cannot have an abortion. So it's to do with pills, isn't it, or something?
Well, it's not true that there's no laws. There still is the Abortion Act, and it still stands that you have to get 2 doctors to sign off your termination up to 24 weeks.
So what about after 24 weeks?
Well, what people don't realise,
doctors won't sign off it then. What then?
Well, what people don't realise is abortion is actually legal to term in this country and always has been since the 1967 Act. There are only 2 grounds of the 7 that have a 24-week limit on. The rest are limitless, and that's when there is a danger to the mother or the fetus's life, right, when there's a physical or mental disability. Now, very few...
Yeah, of course, if it's medical, that's fine.
Well, it's mental as well.
Okay. What do you mean by mental?
Well,
if it's
you could argue that if a
mentally challenged
if
woman.
a mother was going to throw herself off a building, if she was, you could argue this.
Okay.
There have been very late abortions. There was a very famous one up to 37 weeks for cleft palate,
right,
which I do not find acceptable because cleft palate is a perfectly
fixable
condition. What they've done is, if you had an abortion at any stage in your pregnancy outside of this legislation, so you didn't go through 2 doctors, you didn't do it in that way, or if when you were over 9 weeks pregnant, because that's the limit for pills, if you were over 9 weeks pregnant, if you lied over the phone and said you were later, that would be criminal. And there have been some prosecutions for this. So what Labour did is they said we're going to get rid of the criminalisation. So although we still have the rules around abortion, if you break those rules, you'll no longer be pursued by the police and put in prison.
So what happens if a woman changes her mind at 6 months or something? Or even later, and goes about getting rid of the baby,
on her own accord.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. There's no laws to stop her doing that.
So she can
that's
now
the
do
point.
that.
That's the point, isn't it?
That's the point. So she can now do that however she does it, without.
Well, that's not good, is it?
No, I don't think
it doesn't. So that's my point. Not that many women who are 6 months pregnant that go, I changed my mind. But there will be, and it often, disconcertingly, it might not be the woman whose mind is being changed. But my point is, what we did yesterday, or what the Parliament did, what the Labour majority did, was to dispense with, to get rid of legal deterrence. The deterrence for women who feel like, or for whatever reason, want to terminate their...
We actually opened the back door to backstreet abortions again. That's what we did.
Yeah.
So that people can go somewhere
exactly.
and say, I don't want to be pregnant. What's worrying about this is, firstly, Labour voted down an amendment that said that if you wanted abortion pills, you could no longer do it over the phone. You had to have a face-to-face meeting, which I think is completely reasonable.
Yeah.
They voted that down. So this will still continue to be done by phone. What I worry about here is there could be a child at the end of that phone who is being made by her abuser to make the phone call and get the pills.
Right.
There could be a family who have decided they only want a boy. They've had their 20 to 24 week scan, it's a girl, and they decide to terminate that baby. There could be a woman who's trapped in domestic violence, or there could be a man who uses a woman to get the pills and he then forcibly gives them to her.
Yeah. So the point is, we decriminalised all forms of abortion yesterday. So
I thought this would not pass.
You see, I'll tell you why I think it passed. I mean, there's clearly, it was introduced by a Labour backbencher, but it was clearly a sort of Labour whip.
But they said they didn't whip it. They said it was a vote of conscience.
No. It was a Labour whip, if you ask me. And it's because there's such a vast Labour majority, and so many of those Labour women. For them, this is a women's rights issue. Now, abortion is a women's rights issue, quite rightly, but you can take that too far.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the law was fine as it was.
Yeah. So why did we do it?
I mean, I am torn in that when you prosecute a woman who, for whatever reasons, terminates a baby at 6 months, and she was prosecuted and taken away from her children at home, I'm not sure that serves anyone anything. So I was very torn over this, but when I think it all through and what it's actually done, I think it's a dangerous change.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just that I think that as a civilized nation we should have legal deterrence. I mean, the fact that you've got laws saying, well, if you try and get rid of your baby after 24 weeks, you'll end up in jail. I mean, very few women are going to try and do that anyway.
It's minuscule.
And you know, to be honest with you, as long as it's successful, the chances of them getting caught are quite slim as well. But it isn't the point. It's kind of almost symbolic. You know, to just say now in this country, in whatever way you know, if you can get rid of your baby at 8 months, that's fine by us. Well, it shouldn't be, should it?
It shouldn't be. And I think what's really worrying about this is we've got a Labour Party now who seem to love death. They're going to be the party of death.
As in the death of the country, yeah.
Well, the death of the country, the death of babies now without any ramification.
I like that.
And the death of old people with their assisted suicide bill. Everything they're doing is to encourage death.
Yeah, that is interesting. You're right. Yeah, I just think that I suspect this new legislation is the result of a twisted approach to women's rights. Somehow or other they think women should be able to make these decisions. Look, let's get this real. After 24 weeks, not that many women will decide to get rid of their pregnancies. Not that many women after 24 months will find themselves in a position where men or their families want them to ditch their kids, because if they're that kind of woman in that kind of that will be before 24 weeks anyway. So this is going to be rare. But to now have a system whereby essentially this state, the state of Britain, says to women, you know, whenever, however you want to get rid of a baby, there's no laws, there's no comeback. I think that's dangerous.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous too. And look, you're going to have women who order these pills when they're far too far ahead for it. Who knows what it will do to them medically, and they may not lose their pregnancy, but it may cause damage to the baby. You're going to get people who open up clinics to help people abort their babies. Look, abortion has gone on forever. People go to backstreet abortions. When you ban abortion, more women die because they go to backstreet abortionists. So there needs to be a nice balance somewhere in between. And the balance, I think, was the law as it stood.
Yeah, so, I mean, now if somebody did want to get to, you know, 30 weeks, 35 weeks, whatever, wanted to get a backstreet abortion, there'd be no comeback on them. And that should be discouraged. I think that's kind of wrong. This isn't an issue of pro-life, pro-choice. I mean, I happen to be pro-choice. I think you're pro-choice. This is an issue of, you know, safety, and I think almost decency. Really, you know, we should have laws to stop bad things. And if women are going about whatever way they go about it, you know, deciding to DIY abort their kids at 30 weeks, 35 weeks, and there's no deterrent, that's not a good thing. I don't think. You let me know what you think, folks. 0344 499 1000. You want to say one more thing?
I'm assuming that it's going to have to go through the House of Lords.
Oh, well, that doesn't make any difference.
I don't know. I think it might meet some...
Yeah, but you know, but the House of Lords can't stop it in the end. That was a big majority it got. The House of Lords. Well, don't forget they've got the bien pensant liberal elite pack out that upper chamber, so they'll probably go with what Labour voted.
But they do have the clergy,
yeah,
26 of them who vote together.
Yeah, but they can't stop it in the end. This will go through because it was a big majority, and I think although it wasn't an official whip, Labour want it. But you know, a good point. It'll be interesting when it gets to the House of Lords, but they don't these days ever really succeed in stopping a law.
Well, they stopped the Rwanda bill for long enough.
Yeah, but they didn't in the end, did they? They didn't in the end. Yeah, they'll delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always could delay, and they used to be able to stop. They can't stop anymore, so that's the point. Let's talk about something you alerted to me, and it actually fits in with a story I did the other day with Isabel Oakeshott. Well, tell us about the new open door policy at Chesterfield Royal Hospital.
Yeah, I mean, somebody sent this to me, and it's from the 1st of June. Pregnant people, that was my first objection to this. Pregnant people who do not speak English as their first language can now access maternity birth centres from 20 weeks of pregnancy without having to make an appointment or phone first. So they're going to have a special sticker added to their notes at the booking or first scan to show their preferred language and to help them through. Now, I'm all for us helping people give birth safely. It still is the most dangerous thing a woman ever does. But I'm so tired of this. Pregnant people, number one. There's only women that get pregnant.
I'm going to pick you up on that. I don't think it's the most dangerous thing they ever do. I think the most dangerous thing a woman ever does is walk down the Earl's Court Road. But carry on.
We can argue that one out with stats. And I'm sick and tired. Here we go. We've got British-speaking people to the back of the queue. You have to phone and make an appointment, but if you don't speak English, you can just walk straight in. Now, I get it. It's hard to make a phone call in English if you don't speak it, but that's not my fault if I'm a pregnant woman who does speak English and might want an appointment without having to phone. And
please, Chesterfield Royal Hospital, why pregnant people? I think what you mean is women who are pregnant women. Well, men can't get pregnant, you see. You're a hospital. I thought you might have known that.
But it's all in that last sentence, isn't it? DMNV, which is their group name, is proud to support inclusive maternity care across Derbyshire.
Yeah, but blokes don't need maternity care. Just another little tip for you. I did a story with Isabel Oakeshott the other day, similar kind of thing, and it was Cumbria, and they had this sort of priority system for asylum seekers. You know, asylum seekers who've come to the Cumbria area essentially can go straight to they can get a GP right off the bat. They can get dentist right off the bat, where the local residents can't.
That's happening in London. So I worked at a practice as a locum where they have a hotel right next door, more or less, and the manager was telling me that they could no longer service their audience because the manager from the hotel would be at the front door every morning before they opened. As soon as they opened, they'd have 20 new residents to register. That takes a receptionist 2 days because they've got all new forms, and half of those, if not 3/4, want to see a GP that day. It's a double appointment because they don't speak English, and that's all of the day's appointments gone. Yeah.
So this is the medical side of Kia's two-tier Britain. That all over. I cited the Cumbria case here we've got the Chesterfield General Hospital. The asylum seekers, migrants, often people who've broken into this country illegally, they're billeted in hotels all over the country.
Who have never paid a penny.
Yeah, they've never paid a penny in tax for the NHS or anything. They're immediately put to the top of the queue, the head of the queue, for GPs. I mean, there are people all over the country who are desperate to even manage to register with their local GP because their local GP says, oh, we're full up, we can't take any more patients. But if you're an asylum seeker, someone who can't speak English, bang, you're in there. They're immediate GP. They get plus, you know, they'll see you right away. They'll see you. They can. Asylum seekers are having no trouble getting NHS dental treatment. Most British citizens, you know, that's a kind of almost an impossible dream these days.
It is, and
it?
bear in mind, let's think about the GP here as well. So first of all, I can tell you that doing consults via language line are disgustingly bad. Because you can't get, you know, you might get an answer from the patient that lasts 2 minutes and the person on the other end of the phone says, oh, she said yes. And you're like, oh, no, she didn't say yes. So you can't get it, and you can't get that nuance that you get from a patient. And also, you've got people in front of you, you have no medical history, you don't know what you're dealing with. It's really hard.
Yeah, and, you know, it's a recipe for a great deal of unrest around the country. That, you know, the problem with the NHS, must be so many of you out there who know what I'm talking about here. You can't get to see a GP, you can't get treatment to the hospital, you get on a waiting list for hours or days and months and years. Ridiculous. Whereas if you're an asylum seeker, you're in there straight away. The prioritisation of the welfare of foreigners, many of whom broke into this country illegally, over British citizens who paid their taxes, who paid for the NHS. The NHS, along with so many other sections of British society, needs to take a look at itself. I'm not saying, you know, we landed with these asylums, so they're here. You know, we can't just let them get sick and die. They've got to be treated, but they must not be prioritised over British citizens, the people who pay for the NHS. And there are so many examples of what you've given me there. As I say, Cumbria, same thing, always the same language, you know, pregnant people and, you know, our foreign friends and all this kind of stuff. It's just not right. If you have any experiences of such matters, give me a call, 03444991000. Meanwhile, my God, Renee, the surgery is absolutely packed. We've got a load of calls. So we're going to go to break now, and it's Call Dr. Renee. After these messages, the surgery will be open. Stay tuned.
The United States is immensely powerful militarily and is therefore prepared to undertake actions which can hugely unbalance the world. The problem is it may be very powerful militarily and have the biggest and best bombs in the world, but it's proved to be very poor at building new states after it's destroyed the ones that existed before. One thing particularly of Iraq and also in Afghanistan, where all the efforts of the United States over many years were totally defeated by the Taliban, who are now back in charge. So is this wise? The obvious answer is no.
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It is time to call Dr. Renee Hunderkamp, GP extraordinaire, is now ready to take your calls there. Well, let's go straight to America and talk to Cindy in Michigan. Hey, Cindy, long time. Talk to the doctor.
Hi, Kevin, master of television. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, you're welcome.
Cindy.
Hi. Well, I saw my doctor about menopause, and because I have antiphospholipid disease, she said I'm not a candidate for estrogen because there's a...
I'm going to stop you, Cindy, because she's wrong. So I understand why she would say that, because when you have phospholipid disease, you have a higher propensity to clot. However, the evidence is now really clear. If you take estrogen through the skin, not as a tablet, the tablet would be bad for you, through the skin, there is no increased risk of clotting whatsoever.
Really?
We have lots of people, I have lots of patients with clotting disorders who are on estrogen through the skin, either as a gel or a patch.
Thank you.
Have you got health insurance, Cindy?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Do you know, if you go to the NICE guidance, you can just Google that for menopause. There is actually all of the research links on there to what I've just told you.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
All right, Cindy, we'll keep in touch. We'll talk again soon. Easily dealt with there. Patient number one,
Menopause.
Sorted.
Menopause
Cindy in Michigan. Good to talk. Well, that was good, wasn't it? Let's go to Christine in Surrey, who's got an arthritic hip. Christine, hello. Talk to the doctor.
Hello, Christine.
Oh, hello. Good evening, Dr. Renee and Kevin. Yes, I'm sorry to bother you.
You're not bothering us.
Not at all. That's why we're here.
Yeah, it's just I don't know really what to do because in February, well, it started September, and by February I was in agony. So I went to the doctor and I got an X-ray, and it was said I had a very bad arthritis hip. I was told I was referred, and I'd hear in the post. Well, that was 4 months ago, and I haven't heard a thing. And it's getting worse and worse. And I have a dog, and I have to walk it. And I phoned the doctor, said, have I been referred? He said, yes. And then, I'm sorry, I'm a bit emotional.
No, I'm sorry.
Because I'm getting very depressed.
I can imagine. But carry on, Christine. Don't worry.
Where do you live, Christine?
Surrey.
I live in Surrey.
Oh, sorry, I
live in German country, actually.
Oh my God! Well, that could be the source of the problem, actually, Christine. No, which town? No, sorry, which town?
Godalming.
Oh, okay, and very nice part of the world. Anyway, I digress. Carry on.
But anyway, I would go private, but I can't afford that.
It's very expensive.
Anyway, I have this dog, and I have to walk it every day. Anyway, I phoned the doctor, and anyway, I've only had phone calls with this doctor, by the way. But anyway, he put me on this co-Didamol.
Oh.
And I'm just worried. That's been for 3 months now, and I'm just worried the effects that has on me.
Well, I mean, co-Didamol is an opiate, so the biggest effect is constipation.
Oh, I know.
Prunes are really good. But more than that, I mean, there is theory that you could get addicted to it because it is an opioid, but I don't see that so often with that particular drug. However, are they referring you to an orthopaedic surgeon, or are they referring you for a steroid injection?
They're referring me for a new hip.
Right, okay.
You see, the doctor, when she told me I had this bad arthritic hip, she said, well, how would you like to go from here? And I said, well, I think I need a new hip. And she said, yes, I do too, but I didn't like to say.
Okay,
and I'm thinking, what an odd thing to say.
That is an odd thing to say.
Well, you know, doctors
didn't come here to find out about your problems, doctor, you know.
Well, no, doctors now are so they're taught, you know, that get the patient's expectations, get the, you know, what they want. So listen, the reason I asked that question is that you might wait a very long time for orthopaedics. I hate to tell you this, but in some areas it's up to about 2 years. But I'm going to give you a lifeline maybe. You need the pain taken away in the interim, and a steroid injection may do that. It may not, but it may. But your GP should be able to get one of those quite easily. They usually just refer you for an ultrasound plus or minus a steroid injection, just to see if you can take off some of the pain, because there's not much else you can do in between, unfortunately. Now, the only other thing you could ask your GP, and I'd demand a face-to-face and sit there, we have the facility to actually refer people for hips into the local private hospital who see people in 8 days.
Right.
So see if there's any of that.
Could you say that again, please?
So ask your GP if they can refer you into your local private contractor, if there is one. Every area is different. This is a postcode lottery, I'm afraid.
To get a steroid injection?
No, for the hip.
For the hip?
Yeah.
But in the meantime, what about a steroid injection?
Steroid injection your GP can refer you for very quickly.
You should go for that first, Christine, yeah?
So my first port of call is the doctor.
Yeah. Ask for steroid injection, and then what?
Steroid
Renee?
injection, and is there a private hospital nearby that she can refer you to?
Well, there's Hazelmere.
But it depends if they've got a contract with the NHS. But that's what your GP can tell you. She's got it all on her system. She'll have choices of hospitals with the wait times.
Right, I'm just going to have to be a bit more insistent.
You are.
All the time, Christine, we have to tell callers, put your foot down, be firm. Because otherwise they'll fob you off. They always do, don't they, Renee?
The last time I was just told, oh, you'll hear in the post, just be patient.
No good for that. That isn't good enough.
It's no good. I'm in agony.
Go in there like I do, like an alpha male. Give them hell. Give them hell. I mean it. Seriously.
Will do.
Good luck,
Good
Christine.
luck.
Look after yourself. Thanks for the
Take
call.
care.
Christine in Surrey. Let's go to break, and when we come back, we'll talk to David in Leicester. Stick around, David. Back in a mo.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's still called Dr. Renee, GP extraordinaire Renee Hunderkamp in the studio, taking your calls about all your medical queries. Let's go straight back to the phones and talk to, as I promised, David in Leicester. Hello, David. Talk to Dr. Renee.
Hello, David.
Hello. First of all, I'd like to compliment the NHS.
Hey? Yeah, go on, sorry.
Them. But this is nothing to do with my call. I have a lump where I shouldn't have a lump. My doctor did a 2-week referral. I was seen within 2 weeks, and I am awaiting the result, which should be by the end of next week. But I'm not ringing about that.
Yeah, two week waits is the only thing in the NHS that works and gets people seen quickly.
Have you always been a very, very lucky man, David?
No, I haven't.
Because not that many people get that. Yeah.
It is a cancer pathway, so you're not that lucky to get a 2-week wait.
All right, okay.
You're right. Absolutely.
Okay, good. Well, that was good. But you want to talk about weight loss and Kilimanjaro, whatever you call it, yeah?
Well, I thought it was marijuana, but it isn't. It's Monjaro.
Monjaro.
Yeah. How can I help?
My doctor's prescribed me these. Now, interested in the side effects. Now, I do have a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which I'm sure you know what one of those is. I'm diabetic, which is one of the reasons that the doctors put me on this Monjaro. I'm also asthmatic, and I've got SVT as well.
I'm going to ask the question, how overweight are you?
That's a good question. Let me just have a look at my medical records. I have them in front of me. I thought you'd ask these.
Well, do you think basically, David, do you think you're fat?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, there you go. That sort of answers the question. So, did they put you on Monjaro because of your diabetes, or because they thought you needed to lose weight, or both? I guess both. Yeah.
Probably both.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want in kilos or stones?
Stone.
16 stone, 3 pounds.
Okay. How tall are you?
5'11".
Okay.
Well, that's not that bad.
It's overweight though.
Yeah.
It is. I'm looking for my BMI, but I can't see it on here quickly.
It's okay. So what's the question, David?
What's the question?
I'm wondering what. I know that Ozempic has some nasty side effects.
They all have nasty side effects. They're all the same.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So would it be? Is it something you would recommend that I carry on with, or query?
I think
I'm only on the smallest dosage at the moment.
Yeah, I think there's a balance, and I think the balance. At least you have diabetes, so we are treating you with a diabetic drug. So that comes something, because what we're doing with the other experiment is giving a drug for diabetes to people who don't have it. So you have diabetes, so you have an indication for it, and I think if you can use it at a very low dose and it can help you get to a healthy BMI, which will help your diabetes, then there is an argument for it. What worries me is that this is a massive experiment on the population, and as time goes on we are seeing some serious complications. You are twice as likely, for example, to get macular degeneration in the eye. There are some serious eye problems coming
from
this.
Monjaro and the other drugs. Yeah,
it's just come out this week. It's just in the papers this week. People lose muscle, not just fat. They
use the weight of your muscles and your bones, right?
Yeah, they get osteoporosis.
Yes.
So I think it has to be a very low dose for a short period of time. Therein lies the next problem. The moment you stop using it, your appetite returns.
Yeah,
so,
I've noticed my lack of appetite.
Yeah.
I'd walk past Greg's in the past, and I'd go in and get.
Well, you mean in the past you never could walk past Greg's, yeah?
and there are other hot food.
But you notice that you don't feel like going in anymore, yeah?
But the problem is when your appetite comes back and you can no longer walk past Greg's, you will put the weight back on, and that's the problem.
Exactly, I know that. Yeah, if it goes off quickly, it comes back on quickly.
Yeah, and if you actually think about it, David, what it's doing is taking away your appetite so that you eat less. It's proving to you that if you eat less, you'll lose weight.
Yeah, but also with David, I mean, it's not. He's a diabetic, so it's a good thing, isn't it?
Losing weight?
Well, no. Don't you need insulin injections if you're a diabetic?
No, not always. No,
I'm just on pills. I've had insulin, but only on a temporary basis. After.
So, what do you reckon, Renee, on David's situation?
Look, I think you have diabetes, so if it helps with that and it helps you with lose weight, then fine for the short term. I question whether or not you'll be able to come off it longer term.
Longer term, yeah. It's not going to affect my heart though, because I've got this.
So there is some evidence that you lose muscle, and some of that muscle might be heart muscle. And obviously, you know that heart muscle doesn't ever replace itself. Now I know that you have a hypertrophic heart, which means it's overgrown. But these are all worrying. These are all worrying things. I think we don't know enough about it.
Yeah. They're like the. I think it's a little like the COVID things. They didn't know enough about them, And
we seem to have taken to rushing drugs into what mass circulation. It's our new hobby as a nation, in fact, as a Western world. David, listen, I'm going to have to move on because we need to go to an advertising break. But good to talk to you and all the best.
Good luck, David.
David in Leicester, as I said, let's go to break and we'll be back in a minute.
The United States is immensely powerful militarily and is therefore prepared to undertake actions which can hugely unbalance the world. The problem is it may be very powerful militarily and have the biggest and best bombs in the world, but it's proved to be very poor at building new states after it's destroyed the ones that existed before.
Yeah.
One thing, particularly of Iraq and also in Afghanistan, where all the efforts of the United States over many years were totally defeated by the Taliban, who are now back in charge. So is this wise? The obvious answer is no.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight back to the phones. It's called Dr. Renee, and we're going to talk now to Sarah in Whitby. Hello, Sarah. Talk to Dr. Renee.
How are you doing, Kevin?
Hello,
Hi,
Sarah. How can I help?
You got fractures in your back. I've got a note here. Yes.
When the COVID came out, I got in February. I had a cough, and it lasted 6 days, and it went straight away. I didn't know about the COVID because it came out in March, and I couldn't feel my feet, and I kept falling. I've now got 7 fractures in my back.
Oh.
Am I going to get better?
Well,
I'm on morphine now.
Okay, so I'm not sure. Right, why can't you feel your feet?
I just can't feel my feet.
Why have you had that investigated?
I was in a wheelchair for about 6 months, and I went for a year hospital doing all these MRIs and stuff like that, and they says they don't know what has happened.
Okay. And when did you fall?
I fell. It was 5 years ago. It was 6 days after I had this cough.
Okay.
And it was COVID.
Sure. I'm trying to link it together. I'm not really seeing what they're all to do with
if you
each
fell
other.
over and fractured your back, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with COVID, does it?
No, because what happened was I couldn't feel my feet and my legs, and I fell down the stairs.
Right. And
they say I fractured my back.
Right, but what's that to do with COVID? What's that to do with COVID?
Because I got no feeling in my feet.
What, you think that was to do with COVID?
COVID doesn't take the feeling away from your feet, does it?
Well, I've got no feeling in my feet or my legs. If I don't take my morphine, I can't walk.
Okay, and so where were the fractures in your back?
It's the bottom of the spine and up the top.
Okay, and what did they do about it at the time? Because it was 5 years ago now.
Yeah, nothing.
Right, so that means they were stable. They were what we call stable vertebral fractures, which is a normal treatment. So have you had an X-ray since then?
Yeah, but I went to the doctors and turned around and says, oh, you've got some fractures in your back. So I've just had morphine and the liquid morphine.
Okay.
If I don't take that, I'm in chronic pain.
Okay, so what you need to do is you need to get your GP to refer you to the chronic pain service.
Right.
Everyone has one. It's a service that we need for people that we really can't get on top of their pain, because 5 years down the line your back should have healed for sure, unless you've got osteoporosis or something else is going on. So I would ask for referral to the chronic pain clinic. Now the wait times can be quite long for that. In my area they're about a year, but it does depend where you are. But I don't have any other suggestions than that, I'm afraid.
All right. You see, I'm only 50 and I'm in chronic pain.
Yeah,
I'm knackered.
See, you need to go to the chronic pain service. That's exactly what it's for. They might do some injections in your back. There are other painkillers that work well for the back, etoricoxib, for example.
Right, okay. Thank you.
All right, Sarah, look after yourself. Thank you for the call. Yeah, I think we've got time for another call before we go to the next break. So let's talk to... let me just see, first of all, if we've got any medical inquiries in text, because... we've got a lot of text talking about the prioritisation of asylum seekers over locals. I'm just seeing, yeah. This is good. This is from Sam. It says, thank you, Dr. Renee, for your advice last week. I'm at the breast clinic first thing tomorrow morning and 2 lots of antibiotics. You gave me the push to go. That was Sam.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Thanks,
we like to hear those stories.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you. Well, let's go back to the phones and talk to Kay in Liverpool. Hello, Kay. Talk to Dr. Renee.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much.
Hello,
Kevin,
Kay.
can I just say I love listening to you, but please calm down because I always think you're going to have a heart.
Well, you know, I'm the angriest man in broadcasting. You know me. If you're worried about me, how do you think I feel?
How do you think his wife feels?
Yeah. Yeah, I try to calm down, Kay. Anyway, never mind my problems. Talk to Dr. Hunderkamp here.
Don't change. Oh,
Hello,
Dr.
Kay.
Renee, thank you. I've got osteoporosis, and I've just had another DEXA scan, and my T-score is -2.5 and my spine and my left hip. Now, I was on hyaluronic acid, and then I had a 5-year break and promised.
Sorry, can I just ask, I didn't quite hear that first. You were on...
Hyaluronic acid.
Hyaluronic acid, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then I had a break from it. And then now I've had this other DEXA scan. My GP said I should go back on it. When things I read about it, it's quite controversial, isn't it? So what he said is go back on it and we'll rescan you in 3 years. And I just wondered what you thought about that, please.
How old are you, Kay?
67.
Okay, so there are other drugs now that you can have that aren't what we call biphosphonates. Hyaluronic acid is a biphosphonate. They're quite hard to tolerate, the biphosphonates. You have to swallow them, stay sitting up for 30 minutes, have a full glass of water, or you can get esophageal irritation. There is a school of thought that they actually don't particularly help with fractures long term because they build bone in a slightly different way, so you can get atypical fractures. But there are other things that you can actually have as well. There's one in particular that I can't bring to my mind at the moment because I'm a woman of a certain age and it's just gone out of my head.
Tell me about it.
Well, tell me about it.
I tell you what it is. It's called teriparatide.
Teriparatide, there you go.
There you go. That's how my mind works. That's an alternative to a biphosphonate that works quite well. Your GP might have to refer you into the osteoporosis clinic, but the waits aren't too long. And it's worth thinking about other options, isn't it? Because the thing is, fractures do kill people. Broken hips kill people. People that break a hip in later life, a third of them will die within a year and a third of them will never live independently again. So it is important. Now, the other thing you can do is you can actually add some phytoestrogens into your diet. You can get phytoestrogen tablets. That's like a natural HRT, because the one thing that protects bones is HRT.
I'm on HRT at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Is it Tiburon or something like that?
That's not, well, that's, why are you on that? That's such an old school drug. We don't really use it anymore. Yeah, Tiburon.
Yeah.
Why don't you go to a GP then and ask him to change you to HRT, like the proper stuff?
Right.
HRT, Kay, go for it.
Yeah, phytoestrogen, did you say?
Phytoestrogens, you can get those, you know, there are certain foods that are packed with it, olive oils are packed with it, you know, that kind of thing. But you can buy supplements as well. Sage is very good. But I would, if you're on Tiburon already, your GP should have no problem switching you to HRT.
So is there any particular HRT I should be asking for?
Well, I think because of your age, I would go for one through the skin, either as a patch or a spray that you rub in. And if you do the spray, you'll have to have a tablet at night to protect your uterus called micronized progesterone. But it's quite straightforward and that will help your bones.
Oh, that's brilliant, because that's why I was, I got told the Tiburon was good for my bones, but you reckon something else is better.
It is, but it's very old school now. It's a very old drug. We've moved on and we have some really good, less risky HRT.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I'll go and make an appointment with my GP. Thank you so much.
All right, Kay, look after yourself. Thanks for the
care.
call. Kay in Liverpool there. Well done. Nice bit of diagnosis and help.
They've got great accents from Liverpool, haven't they?
Yeah. It's for me bones.
I love it.
For me bones. When they say wake. Gotta go to wake. I could do most accents. I have trouble with the Liverpool one, but I like the Liverpool accent. Right, I digressed. Let's go to a new caller, Daniel in Lancashire. Hello, Daniel. Talk to Dr. Renee.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi. Hi.
How can I help?
I'm sorry, my brain doesn't work. Anyway, in 2014, when I was 13, I ended up with endocarditis.
Right.
Which made me needed a aortic valve replacement and a triple bypass. Anyway, even after that, I went back to work. But in 2023, my mum and dad passed away within 3 months of each other.
I'm sorry.
And my heart went again just shortly after that. But even worse this time, I flatlined 4 times and they had to get me in Leeds from
What's the problem now, Daniel? What's the problem now? What do you want the doctor to help you with?
It's aftercare. I'm not getting any.
You're not getting any aftercare?
Yeah, can I just tell you something? Sorry, it travelled to me. Thank you for being patient. It travelled to my brain and gave me a bleed on my brain plus an abscess as well. So my thinking and my memory is just totally shot.
So what? All right, Daniel, I'll just explain.
Hang on a second, Daniel. Hold on. We've got to sort this out.
Daniel's had endocarditis, which is an infection around the heart.
Okay.
It's very serious.
Right.
And you get these little, what they call vegetations in the heart, which actually can throw off and give you blockages in the brain.
Affected his thinking.
So it sounds like he's also got that infection in his brain with an abscess.
Okay.
It's very, very hard to treat. You have to have months and months of antibiotics, sometimes as an inpatient. I mean, it sounds to me, Daniel, like you need a referral back into cardiology, who can then refer you to their rehab units.
Well, I was in Leeds Hospital and they were brilliant while I was on, but it was too far to travel. It's 60 miles from Birmingham and Colne, so they put me on to my local authorities and they just don't seem to. I haven't even had an echocardiogram for months when they meant to get me one over here. And
when did you last see your GP, Daniel?
About 6 weeks ago, and he wanted blood tests, and they couldn't get blood. But I asked for another appointment, and they haven't got back to me with one yet. And
well, I think you're going to have to. I think you're going to have to call up the GP, just as you have us tonight, and just demand an appointment. You need to be seen, and they need to sort you out.
Sorry for interrupting.
That's all right. That's all right, Daniel. But you've got to call. We're going to have to go because we haven't got long left for the show. But
Just say one quick thing.
Go on then.
Quick thing.
Yeah.
The thing that gets, I've worked all my life as a chef, but since I've been off work, I get judged off tip, and they're knocking everyone off, and it's the people who are scrounging it who not entitled to it. They were spoiling it for the rest of us. So
well, yeah. Well, that's an old story, Daniel, and not a nice story. Sorry about that. But listen, you've got to make an appointment with your doctor, the GP. Why don't you just go down there?
Yeah.
Go down there. Go down there. You need to see a doctor, I think.
Yeah. Thanks.
Daniel, do you think? Anyway. Daniel, can I make one more suggestion?
You certainly can.
Do you think you need a support worker to help you navigate all of this?
I'm asking for help. I've just asked for help. I don't know who's helping because they were meant to be sending me. I've got to speak. I'm in with Lancashire Talking Therapies, which is like psychologists, but nothing to do with my heart yet.
Right. So go to the GP. Go to the GP and ask them to refer you for a support worker. I think they could help you navigate all of this.
Yeah, get down to your doctors, Daniel, ASAP, yeah?
Right, thank you for your time.
All right, mate, good to talk to you, Look after yourself. There's Daniel in Lancashire there. Poor guy.
See, some people just can't navigate the system.
Yeah, he needs help, doesn't he?
Really hard.
He needs help, yeah, absolutely. Just a quick, this is from a lady who says, a guy actually, Sam, says, my niece had to have a medical termination at just over the 24th week mark. The baby had a heap load of problems, and if she'd have gone on to babe the child, he probably would have been a stillborn. But yeah, I mean, the point is, Sam, nobody is objecting or having any complaints about terminations for medical reasons. That isn't really...
And actually, most of those late terminations are for that reason, because you don't find it out till you have your 22-week scan, and then by the time they've organised it. So yeah, of course, and that's why I say the law was working fine. Yeah, I don't know why they've fiddled with it, but that's the thing about politicians. They always think they can do something better. With each new generation of politicians, they go, ooh, what have we got to do then? And mostly everything's already been done, so they do it again and they make a mess of it. I don't know, I think they've got quite a lot they need to do. They could busy themselves with.
Well, yeah, only because previous politicians have screwed it all up. Things I think used to work quite well, but successive...
When you were a lad?
Yeah, well, successive politicians come in and screw everything up, fiddling around the edges. As you say, what was that law all about yesterday? Why not leave well alone? Yeah. Assisted dying, I don't know. I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but if people want to end their lives, they kind of can.
I don't have a problem. Yeah, they can. They can do it already.
Yeah, exactly.
But what's going to happen here is that elderly people or people who don't want to die are going to end up dying.
Yeah. But anyway, it's politicians always sticking their nose into everything, making everything worse. Right, let's go down to Sussex, our last call. We haven't got two... Well, actually, we're okay, Emily. Emily from Sussex, not too long, but do speak to the doctor. I read here that Emily's got mental breakdown problems. Talk to the doctor, Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Hi there. Now, I might need to confess my name's Emma.
Oh, Emma.
I phoned up a few months ago and said my name is Emily, so I want to get that straight.
Okay. So we've done it again, have we?
No, I was just embarrassed. And
okay. All right. Anyway, hello, Emma.
How can I help, Emma?
I'm a lot better. I had a breakdown a few months ago when I phoned you, and I'm going through the menopause. I'm a lot better, but I'm nowhere near there, and I'm really struggling.
Are you on HRT?
I am, and we keep adjusting my dose. I can start feeling better and then start feeling really awful again. I mean, most of the time I feel like I've got flu, and then I can have times when I feel okay.
How old are you?
I'm 54.
Okay, so you've been through, hopefully, you should have had your last period.
I hope that, I'm still having them occasionally, every 2 or 3 months.
Okay, all right. So
And
in
at the
which
moment I've
case?
got, at the moment I've got pelvic pain and some other issues going on, so I've got a scan booked and I'm going to book a smear because I had a colposcopy about 20 years ago, so I know that certain symptoms. But, I mean, mainly I'm okay, but I'm so isolated because for the last 2 years I've barely seen anyone because my symptoms have been getting gradually worse. And I'm trying to start a local menopause support group because I thought that would be helpful to other people. Because I've spent so much time researching the menopause now. I want to share your
knowledge, yeah.
But I'm getting no responses, so I'm trying to boost myself by helping people, and it's just so demoralising, trying to help myself and do something positive.
Well, Emma, we've got your number. I might have an idea that might help. Leave it with us.
Thank you so much.
We could maybe get the message out. So I've got your number. We'll be in touch. We'll see what we can work out. Yeah.
Oh, that's so kind of you. I really appreciate it.
Well,
Can I just say quickly
Go on.
that my partner took a long time to come round because he didn't really understand how bad it was, and he's been fantastic.
Yeah, I think you know what I think, Em. I think in years gone by, nobody ever talked about this. And what happened at 50 or roundabouts is men and women just drifted apart and lived their own individual lives, even if they stayed married. But we're in a different place now, and we have to bring men along too, because everyone in their life, their mum, their sisters, their wives, will suffer, and it is completely treatable. But sometimes, as you rightly say, it takes a good doctor who's prepared to tweak, and one who's willing to measure your estradiol levels, because they need to be over 300 for you to feel well.
Yeah. I've just recently had the blood test and they have been low, so that's why we've increased the dose again.
Because Emma's right, though, isn't it? It's a sort of area that still people don't really talk about enough, isn't it? The menopause.
More people talk about it more, but there's still, I still get astounded when I get women sitting in front of me who really know every single symptom of menopause. And when I say, do you think this is menopause? They look absolutely nonplussed. So, there's still a lot of education
so they don't even know they've got it. So you need to get the word out there, Emma. I've got your number. We'll see what we can do, OK?
Thank you so much.
Good to talk to you.
Emma.
Good to talk to you. Look after yourself. That's Emma in Sussex. Well, I think that's sort of, we've got obviously more calls. Got a lot tonight. Very sorry to all of you who couldn't get through or we didn't have time to talk to, but you'll be back next week, won't you? Back next. So,
no school holidays at the moment.
Well, I never know with you. You're always off to somewhere glamorous for a month or something. So Dr. Renee will be back next week, next Thursday at 8 o'clock for another call, Dr. Renee. So get your calls in then. Thank you very much, Dr. Renee Hundekamp. Another amazing surgery. Always an excellent hour of my week. So we'll do it again next week. In the meantime, coming up after the 9 o'clock news, it's time to talk about Meghan. She's done another podcast. She's been a guest this time, and my God, I've no idea what the hell it is she's talking about this time. We'll try and work it out with Kinsey Schofield. Stay tuned for that.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is the third hour of tonight's excellent, well, I'm saying it's excellent, Political Asylum. We're going at 10 o'clock, so we've got another 60 sizzling minutes to go. At 10 o'clock, Ash and Andre Walker will take over the helm of the good ship Talk. But for the meantime, you got me. But better than that, by the way, I should tell you in 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, we'll be taking your calls. The lines are open. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about the migrant crisis. Nearly 2,500 migrants have come across the channel. What are the French doing to stop this invasion of the foreigners? Not very much. They couldn't even catch up with an old bloke on crutches. Unbelievable. 800 million quid we gave them, they're doing nothing. Also, two-tier justice, the scandalously lenient treatment of rape gang fiends, and the fact that we can't deport loads of these Pakistanis who all they do is they rip up their passport and say, I renounce my Pakistani citizenship. And apparently we accept. They go, oh, well, there's not much we can do about it then. That's ridiculous. You rip your passport up, it doesn't mean to say you're no longer a Pakistani citizen, does it? The nonsense. We're going really light. There's so many of these rape gang fiends who never got brought to justice. So many of them walking around. So many of them should have been deported but weren't. Why have we gone so light, so easy on the rape gang members? Partly it's due to Lord Richard Hermer, two-tier Keir's human rights lawyer, mate, who he refused to review some very lenient statements. So you might want to ring about that. Yeah, the border farce as well. And also, what about this Afghani asylum seeker, Sadiq Nikzad, 29 years old, arrived here 2 years ago illegally on a small boat, came across the channel, was welcomed into the country. We didn't know anything about him. We billeted him up in Scotland. He raped a 15-year-old girl behind a pub in Falkirk. This is what will happen if we keep letting in people, men, mostly men, they are mostly men, a vast majority of them young men of military age, as they say, between the age of sort of 16, 17 and 35. Vast majority of them. Anyway, he goes up to Scotland, rapes this girl. He's got 12 years. He said he's from Afghanistan. He didn't understand the cultural differences between Afghanistan and Britain. Didn't really understand that in Britain we take a dim view of rape. I mean, seriously, these people come from very different cultures to ours, and they have very different attitudes to women. And that is causing a problem. It's a tinderbox, in fact. We're sitting on a powder keg because of this. We've got hundreds of thousands of young men we don't know anything about. Certainly all over the country. And if they start committing sex crimes, it's not going to be good, folks. It's not going to be good. 0344 499 1000. Get on the line and give me a call. We'll talk after this bit. This is when we go over to LA, one of my favourite moments of the week, to talk to the brilliant Kinsey Schofield. Hi, Kins, you're back in America.
So I could have just ripped up my passport and said I'll renounce my U.S. citizenship, because that sounds amazing and a lot easier than I have suspected it would be for me to move over there.
Yeah, I know you love it here. It was lovely to see you last week. There was a Kinsey Schofield-shaped hole in my show, What Just Happened Today. We filmed it without you. Of course, you were brilliant on it last week. Guess who replaced you? You won't believe this.
Who?
Don't take this wrong. Ash.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's a good get.
Yeah.
I approve of this message.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great. He was great. But you were great as well, of course. He didn't turn up in a ball gown, which was a disappointment.
Disappointing. I feel like you could... He's the one you could get to do that, though.
Yeah, or was it a disappointment? Was it a massive relief? I think it was the latter. Listen, let's talk about Meghan. Oh, my God. She's done this podcast with Emma Greed, who's a British She's over there in LA, but she is a British-born CEO, has worked with Kim Kardashian on her brands, very successful businesswoman, was star of a show over here called Dragon's Den. So she really is a successful businesswoman, a tycoon if you like. And so she sat down with Meghan Markle to interview Meghan. And I mean, it's just jaw-dropping. Look, let's play some clips. And here's the first one. This is Meghan not really accepting the concept of failure in business. And I'll tell you, Kinsey, she really should learn to embrace the concept of failure in business, because she is a failure in business. Nevertheless, she lives on Planet Meghan, where everything is fine and dandy. Here she goes.
Is anything actually a failure, ultimately? Because you're going to learn from it no matter what happens. But no, I feel confident in what I've been dreaming up for so long. I feel confident in the partner that I have. And I feel really proud of the team that I have. So that's not an option.
It's not an option.
No.
I love that you say that's not an option, because there's just such an intense narrative around everything.
Yeah, failure is not an option, which is unfortunate, Kinsey, because I would say As Ever has failed. We're talking, she's been teasing on Instagram, you know, big announcement. I think it's probably going to come out tomorrow or something about some big new development. But what will it be? Will it be?
Like, I think I've heard it's pancake mix. So like,
are you serious? No, I wouldn't put it past her. I mean, you know, she keeps starring in these podcasts. We'll talk about her own podcast in a minute, which has been canned, which has been axed. But she keeps like making all these statements. Oh, I might start some hotels. I got some Chateau Meg Rosé coming out, and then the Meg Inn hotels, then the Meg Tuck In restaurants. Keeps talking about all this. Meanwhile, as far as I understand it, no one is really able to buy anything from As Ever, because nobody, and even then, even if they could, they don't particularly want to, because nobody wants to pay $14 for scam jam that isn't even jam. It's all overpriced, but you can't get hold of it. So she says nothing is a failure, because I think she's trying to say, you know, when you fail, you learn from that, and therefore it's not a failure. But what I think she's trying to cover up there is the fact she has failed on a dizzying number of levels over the past few...
What did you learn? What did you learn from Spotify? Because you've produced a second miserable podcast. Obviously, you did not learn enough from that global humiliation that was getting the boot from Spotify, because the Limonada podcast was as miserable and unfortunate as the Archetypes podcast. But I don't know, are you going to play the clip for us today about where Emma asks Meghan what she would do differently? And she says, I ask people to tell the truth.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not sure we got that clip. I'll see if... we have. Shall we play it? Let's play it now.
I wonder if you could rewrite your public narrative from scratch. Is there anything that you would do differently?
Yes, I would ask people to tell the truth.
You're very measured about it. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I'm such a hothead.
Are you? What's your sign?
I'm a Libra. But I know, and it's
Libras.
like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bit, you know, ghetto with it, like a little bit hood. I would just...
I mean, do you know what she's talking about there, Kinsey? She's talking about palace staff back when she was a frontline royal during her brief tenure in Britain. Those palace staff...
Yeah, and let me just tell you, I spent a week there and I talked to current and former employees, and they would love to tell the truth about Meghan Markle. In fact, it was almost a warning, the tone in their voice when I talked to some of these people that have worked directly with Meghan Markle. It's almost a warning, like, yes, please give us permission to tell the truth about you. But my point in asking about this clip compared to the last clip is, wouldn't it have been a beautiful, humble, moment when the host asked Meghan, is there anything you would have done differently? Had Meghan swapped those answers and said, absolutely not, because I'm in the position I am today because of the mistakes I'd made previously. Instead of that bitter, miserable reaction, which is, it's other people's fault.
Yeah, exactly right, exactly right.
Other people lying about me.
Yeah, I'd ask people to tell the truth. Now, that is a direct reference, quite clearly, to the palace staff back when she was here in Britain, complaining about her bullying them. That complaint got very, very serious. It wasn't just one; it was quite a few of them.
And there is a report that exists, Meghan.
Well,
it is
yeah.
in the vault, and if you do not be careful, it will start to leak out.
But here's the deal. Let's get the chronology right. You're absolutely right. So, the palace staff complained that she was bullying them, that she was impossible to deal with, upsetting them. The head of communications wrote an email to Her Majesty the Queen, the late Queen.
He wrote the email to Prince William's private secretary.
But it went to the Queen. And the Queen...
It's Prince William that deals with it. The Queen doesn't get involved.
No, the Queen, no, you got to get to the Queen.
No, I'm getting it right. The Queen gets involved once Valentine Lowe releases the story right before the Oprah Winfrey interview, and the Queen gets a third party involved to investigate.
Yeah, that's my point. The point is, these complaints get to the Queen, and the Queen orders an external legal investigation by barristers into Meghan's behaviour. Now, the results of that investigation have never been published. Her Majesty decided, this is too incendiary, I'm not going to release this. Now, I have great respect for the late, great Queen. I don't think that was a good decision, but it was her decision.
Well, also, we know now the Queen was dying.
Yeah.
Why does she want to make the last few months?
Okay, fair point.
She doesn't want them continuing to throw grenades at her. I also think that it's a very clever move strategically from the palace, because they continue to have this piece of information that is very damaging to Meghan that they can hold over her head. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like bring it on, because I've heard other stories about the alleged royal racist that are not very flattering towards Harry and Meghan either over the last few weeks. So I think that it's almost a strategic move to hold this over the Sussexes.
I think the Queen decided in the end. I think they'd already gone by then. I think she decided, what's the point? Maybe you're right, Kinsey. Maybe the Queen did make a wise decision there. She usually did make wise decisions. Who the hell am I to say she's wrong? But you're quite right. This is a ticking time bomb, and quite why Meghan is trying to sort of poke this hornet's nest. So they didn't tell the truth about me. They didn't tell the truth. They lied. Well, if she carries on like this, that report, by hook or by crook, will come out. And then we'll learn what I think will be the shocking truth. And what this feeds into, Kinsey, is the world according to Meghan. This avalanche of negative publicity that she's received, always really, from the moment she came to Britain. Going back to America, there's been the Hollywood Reporter investigation saying she was a tyrant in high heels who reduced her staff, grown men, to tears, was prone to 5 a.m. tantrums, was an absolute nightmare. That was the Hollywood Reporter. Then Vanity Fair, 8,000-word investigation claiming that she was the most god-awful bully.
Employees had to seek therapy afterwards.
Exactly right. You're causing some to get PTSD, post-traumatic shock syndrome, and they had to go for therapy. That's how bad Vanity Fair says she was. But how does Meghan quantify this? How does she explain this? I've done nothing wrong. It is just the haters who keep lying about me. That's what she means when she says, I would just ask people to tell the truth. They did tell the truth, but they didn't tell Meghan's truth. Here we are again on Planet Meghan, where there is her truth and the truth. That's where we're at, isn't it?
Well, it's also just it amazes me because in this podcast episode she goes into how you need to learn how to say no, and you don't need to explain yourself. You never need to explain yourself. You know, you learn this from maturing and becoming a mother and yada yada yada, but you don't. When you tell somebody no, you don't have to explain yourself, and you should never have to explain yourself. While we're listening to an entire podcast episode where she's trying to explain herself, whether she's trying to justify putting her podcast on hiatus or justify how she did not make just a limited number of, and then she did it with the same with Jamie Kern-Lima.
I got my impression of Jamie Kern-Lima.
Okay. That's very good.
That's all she did, wasn't it, throughout the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You know, I'm so great. You are.
Making weird noises towards each other.
Yeah.
But so she says on Jamie Kern-Lima, she's not playing the prove it game anymore. She, in all of these podcasts, all she's doing is responding to our criticism. Like when we say you made 10 pots of jam, she goes on this podcast and says, oh, it was just a pleasant surprise that I sold out. There was no strategy behind that whatsoever. We didn't have a limited number of inventory, and trying to explain that away, trying to explain away her podcast failure. And you'd said something else that reminded me of this, and maybe it's regarding the failure part when she says, I refuse to fail, I refuse to fail. Well, what she's doing
is failing.
She's failing. But what she's doing is she's putting all of her seeds in venues that don't provide analytics. So she wants to distance herself from Limonada and the podcast space, because Newsweek can come out and say, well, while you might have premiered in the top 20, 2 days later, you fell below 100 when it comes to the podcast charts. Netflix refuses to give us analytics. So Netflix is a safe space for her. She hides her like count. She hides her comments on Instagram, so people can't say analytically, this is a win for her or a loss. She's pursuing things that she's pursuing spaces and media entities where she can't be held accountable for wins or losses. She wants to be able to control the narrative. She's not giving us the exact number of items sold from As Ever. You know, what she's doing is she just wants it vague enough to where she can do a victory lap and say, I got a second season of my Netflix show. No, you didn't. They
already filmed it. They already filmed it. She's in denial, Kinsey. She's in denial. And how did she react? So she's saying, I wish people wouldn't lie about me. So all the negative press that she gets, and indeed Harry, she thinks it's or she pretends it's people, haters lying about her. It's just not. You don't get this much negative press on the basis of complete lies told by haters. 8,000 words in Vanity Fair. Do me a favour. Plus,
Vanity Fair, who featured her on the cover of their magazine, they wanted to love her.
Yeah, exactly right, but they fell out of love with her, as so many people do. But how does she react to all this bad press? First of all, she says, it's just people lying about me. And then, and this is the brilliant bit, or not, she sacks her 6 publicity staff, the people in charge of her public relations, in charge of her image. So, in other words,
I'm not sure she fired them. These people don't like work. Everyone I talk to says they don't enjoy the process of working for Harry and Meghan.
Well, it's been in the papers over here that she sacked them all, that she got rid of them. That's what the Sun's saying. But anyway, either way, she blames her publicity department. In other words, these negative stories, they're not her fault. They're the fault of her PR people who don't polish her image enough.
Well, I doubt that they're not the ones in the delivery room twerking.
Yeah.
And then going, you know what? Let's upload this 4 years later.
Yeah. It's blaming other people. The reason that Harry and Meghan, and Harry apparently is also extremely unhappy about the bad press he gets. The reason they get bad press, it's not their PR people, it's the way they behave. Here's Meghan on Emma Greaves' podcast talking about authenticity. Let's have a look at this.
Have to be authentic.
Just be authentic. Did you see my baby mama dance?
I mean, stop it. First of all, can I just tell you the timing of that, we maybe watched it like 20 times, yes.
And to really get to the place where you don't feel as though you have to explain yourself. And I think that comes with time, maturity, work, support surrounding you. But also to be authentic. You know, I don't think there's any value either in being so rehearsed and just having your talking points and just saying the thing. No, just talk.
It's just not the time.
That laugh, Kinsey, what did you make of that? It's frightening, wasn't it?
I mean, I've watched this one too many times, and I'm so over these two. I think that, but did you hear what she said about how you don't have to explain yourself? Kevin, that's literally what she's doing with every one of these interviews. She's trying to counter our narrative. She's trying to say, no, look, I'm not a failure. I'm choosing to step back from my podcast.
That's right.
You know, you are explaining yourself. And then what was the other thing that was so hypocritical about this interview? She talks about how she is a fashionista and how she could go into beauty and fashion if she wanted to, because people have asked her to. People are just clamoring to work with her. Beyonce's mom wanted to be on her podcast so bad. She's always telling us how popular and in demand she is. But she says that you could tell she's annoyed that other people were making money off of her. And I might have had this conversation with you when I was there, how I was like, I was buying this 40-pound lotion from Buckingham Palace, thinking, and looking across at all of the postcards with Catherine's face on them, thinking, I know that Meghan was looking at these types of things going, I can do this without them. And you can't. This is a 1,000-year-old institution. This is something sacred. There's so much history, tradition, and love behind this, you know, the firm. We love them. I'm not going to buy your jam. I'm sorry. But she talks about how she's annoyed that people would watch what she wore and they would monetize off of it and she wouldn't get anything, which is what she says in this interview. But then she takes it a step further, Kevin, and says where it gets really weird for her is when there are affiliate links associated with what her children are wearing. This is the same woman that created a curated list of clothing worn by Catherine's children. Affiliate links, and put it on her Instagram account. The fact that she is complaining about people monetizing off of her children's clothing, yet she is watching basically what Catherine's children are wearing and creating lists around that and making a buck is foul. It is so foul.
That's well put. Now, also in the interview with Emma Grede, Greed is good, by the way. She explains, there's the tragic news that Confessions of a Female Founder, her second disastrous podcast series, the first one, Archetypes, axed by Spotify due to lack of interest. It was an insomnia cure, so boring it hurt. This new series, Confessions of a Female Founder, in which she interviewed female tycoons, female entrepreneurs, was so tedious, it was toweringly tedious, that it soon plummeted out of the top 100, basically never to be seen in the podcast charts again, and also obviously just faded out amid no interest whatsoever. So in this interview with Emma Grede, she said, unfortunately, she basically says, unfortunately, I'm so busy with everything else that, you know, that'll have to be on hold. No, it's been axed, hasn't it? It's been axed due to lack of interest. And yet she's got an excuse. It's not because it's rubbish and no one wants to listen to it. It's because I'm so busy with all my other projects.
Yeah, she says that it's just on hiatus, and once she says that it's just on hiatus, but she says once she feels like she's a successful founder, she might circle back and relaunch it, and so that you have the before and after conversations. I think, like you, I believe that this is just another one of her reactions to listening to criticism from people like us.
Yeah.
She said, what an amazing opportunity to pull back the curtain and let people see what's happening at the start. There was nothing real in those podcasts about, she talked to us about packaging peanuts. I mean, there was nothing real or authentic about the beginning. Why aren't you being honest with us about why American Riviera Orchard fell through? There was nothing real about the beginning of her journey. And she said they have the opportunity to talk to so many female founders and their full trajectory, but she's just trying to say that she might come back in Q4.
Yeah. Well,
using her TED Talk lingo to explain that it's not necessarily been canceled. She might come back, but this is just Meghan explaining away.
A bit like a Netflix contract, which is also obviously on life support. When she said, I used this line on the new edition of What Just Happened, that she says, Confessions of a Female Founder is resting. Yeah, it's resting, as in rest in peace. That has not gone away temporarily. We will never see that again. It was what's technically known in the show business industry as a flop, a turkey, a dud. That's why it's gone. But she will never, ever admit, not everything is a fantastic success. And I
think she just wants to be interviewed. I don't think she likes
I think you're right. I mean,
I truly think that that's what it's about. She loves being in the other chair and talking about herself. And one of the biggest criticisms surrounding Confessions of a Female Founder and Archetypes was that she'd ask something, not to get an actual answer out of the celebrity who is much more interesting and or accomplished than she is, right, but so that she could bring the conversation back to her, interrupting them and going, oh, well, actually, let me talk to you about myself here for a second, which she did with Serena Williams. She brings up Serena Williams in this last podcast, talking about how Serena Williams gave her great advice about haters and how a lie can't live forever. I was so tickled about that because it was just recently revealed that Meghan tried to knock Serena Williams off the cover of Vogue.
Is that right?
Remember that she wanted that cover
game,
of Vogue?
set and match, but she didn't succeed, right?
Absolutely not. And Anna Wintour went on to ban her because she couldn't believe the audacity. But, Meghan name drops throughout this podcast, even saying that one of her children's godparents is a very famous person, one of her mentors, and is now one of her best friends. But she wants to name them so bad, but she can't. It's, again, reacting to us, how you and I constantly say, Meghan, that A-listers don't want anything to do with her. So she has to say, well, actually, I am friends with A-listers. I just can't talk about them because it's a secret. It feels like everything we say, every little criticism, she responds to. Hi, Meghan, thanks for watching.
Yeah. I understand that you and I are not on Harry and Meghan's Christmas card list. I can't let you go. It's great to talk to you again. I love talking to you, Kinsey. I love it when you're here, but these little sessions we have on Mondays and Thursdays are two of the highlights of my week. But I can't let you go without any news on the ginger nuts front. What's happening with Harry? Anything at all? Thought not. No, seriously, what's going on?
No. We are patiently waiting to find out what these commercial ventures are that were teased a few weeks ago. Yeah. But can I just say, I got to, well, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. I saw a lot while I was there. Mm-hmm. And I saw a lot of where Harry used to live and how peaceful and romantic and wonderful. What a great protective space. What a great escape. And I just kept thinking as I was looking around, those children would have had the most beautiful, safe, peaceful upbringing in the entire world if they would have stayed where they were. And he must really regret some of his life decisions.
I totally agree with you, Kinsey. I think the story of Harry is, he'll never admit it, but I reckon he regrets every day in every way what he did, what he gave up, what he left behind. He left behind, a nation that loved him, a very important role amid the most important royal family in the world. And he went to California, and now he's got nothing to do, basically, except watch his wife showcase her strange psychological makeup. She can't let anything go, can she? Anything. She is still seething about the bullying allegations at the palace all those years ago. As I say, let it go, Meghan, move on. But man, she is strange. She is a weird woman of little substance. Kinsey, fantastic as always. We'll talk again on Monday. Have a great weekend. Well, that's the remarkable Kinsey Schofield. Meghan's just like, can't get over her, I really can't. We better go to break. I've taken too long talking to Kins. When we come back, your calls. Stick around.
The United States is immensely powerful militarily and is therefore prepared to undertake actions which can hugely unbalance the world. The problem is it may be very powerful militarily and have the biggest and best bombs in the world, but it's proved to be very poor at building new states after it's destroyed the ones that existed before.
Yeah.
One thing particularly of Iraq and also in Afghanistan, where all the efforts of the United States over many years were totally defeated by the Taliban, who are now back in charge. So is this wise? The obvious answer is no.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is...
Welcome back. Right, it's your turn. Well, first of all, WhatsApp voice notes. Here's Ernie about the migrant on crutches.
The reason that disabled migrant is so desperate to get on a boat is because he knows he's been told by the gangmasters he'll be taken straight to hospital to be assessed and given hundreds of pounds of treatment to fix his disability straight away. Whilst a veteran with the same disability caused by fighting for this country sits in his tent on the common opposite the hospital, waiting for his turn that will never come.
You're right, Ernie. That's what will happen to that guy. There's something wrong with him. We don't know if it's a disability or he's broken his leg or something, but he will get immediate priority medical treatment when he gets here. That's probably half the reason he's coming, because he's like really old. It's like, what? Looks like he's about 75 or something. I mean, what would be the point when you come for a new life? You're 75. Right. Oh, of course. Sorry, I forgot. He's escaping war and torture. Yeah, right. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Peter in Croydon. Hi, Peter. You want to talk about the Notting Hill Carnival? What would you like to say?
Yeah, Graham and Kevin, yes. I'm glad you and your guest. Sorry, I forget his name. Martin, wasn't it, or something?
Philip,
anyway,
you mean at the beginning? Yeah, Philip. Yeah.
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 That's right. Yeah. I mean, because I thought I was living in a parallel universe, because ever since the police officer came out and said there could be a case for a Hillsborough type disaster. We all know that what happened there, didn't we, Kevin? We all watched it, and so I thought I decided to write anyway.
Yeah.
I was trying to contact the organisers. I said, look, you know, you had that young lady who died last year.
Well, there were two murders last year, Peter.
Yeah. But there's a kiddie who hasn't got a mother anymore.
Yeah, exactly right. The kid was with her, wasn't she? Wasn't he at the time? Yeah.
And they didn't bother, and I thought, well, anyway, what I decided to do was send a FOI to
Freedom of Information request. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, to the council, to Kensington.
And what did you ask, Peter? What did you ask?
Well, basically, I asked about the safety aspects, and and you know what?
What did they come back with?
We will not uphold. We uphold your. Meaning, you know, I thought they thought I was talking a load of crap.
No, so they didn't. You have to be very specific with the questions. If you're not absolutely forensically right on message as far as they're concerned, they'll come up with an excuse not to answer your question.
Absolutely.
And that's what happened to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It happens to everybody, yeah.
And what I did, I was in a situation at football matches. It was at Fulham, actually.
Hey.
When we scored.
When you say we, are you a Fulham fan?
No, I'm Palace fan.
Oh yeah, you beat us twice last season, didn't you?
Yeah.
Good outfit. Thanks for bringing back that memory. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry. Anyway, the mad fans behind us, when Palace scored, they all moved forward, and basically I was almost crushed.
Yeah.
Luckily enough, so I can see it. I can see this crush.
Yeah, well, that's one. We'll go back to the Notting Hill Carnival. I mean, yeah, huge crowds. But the trouble is, I haven't heard of anybody actually getting sort of injured by the crowds, but there's violence. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Such huge numbers, 2 million people in a fairly small area, that can be a very volatile atmosphere. So that's why I think you get these outbreaks of stabbing and murders and things like that. As I keep saying, Peter, you know, I'm not a banner. I don't like banning things. I don't like rules, regulations, ban that, axe that, stop that. I don't like doing that. I believe in freedom. I'm a libertarian, but I draw the line at social events that kill people, and that's basically the Notting Hill Carnival. I know most people get great enjoyment out of it, but some people are dying. Other people are getting stabbed. 70 police officers were badly injured at the last carnival. So we can't go on like that. That's why I think maybe we've got to think about axing it. But Peter, I've got to move on, but nice call. Thank you. Good to talk to you. Peter in Croydon, let's go to break. Come back in a minute. More calls.
UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's have one more WhatsApp voice note. This is Steve on the small boats.
I fear we are looking at a massive riot situation, and Keir Starmer is walking headlong into it, smashing the gangs. Doesn't he realise it's like whack-a-mole? He's so irritating, his voice. Absolutely.
Well, exactly, Steve. You know, you call it whack-a-mole, if only. Whack-a-mole implies, you know, they smash a gang and another one crops up. Well, if only, because they don't smash any gangs. Not whack-a-mole. They haven't smashed any. They haven't put any down yet. They haven't found any. It's ridiculous. 11 months. Not a single gang even remotely located, let alone smashed. I mean, come on, it's a ludicrous policy that palpably, demonstrably just is not working. 2,500 in the last week. That's going to cost us £100 million over the next year. That's 1 week. Come on, this is out of control, Meanwhile, all these mostly young men, we don't know anything about them, nothing about them. We distribute them around the country, put them in all these hotels, and what did we learn earlier? One of them, 29-year-old Afghan guy, comes here 2 years ago, pretty much within weeks, we stick him up in Scotland, he rapes a vulnerable 15-year-old local girl. She's screaming, I'm only 15. His defence, I'm from Afghanistan, I didn't realise about the cultural differences. You know, in Afghanistan, the land of the Taliban, they probably don't put too much store by raping women. Well, we do here. He's doing 12 years now. He didn't like that at all. He could hardly believe the severity of the sentence. There's your problem. We're letting in thousands and thousands and thousands of young men like that from cultures in the Middle East, Afghanistan, that kind of place, Syria, Muslim cultures, in countries where women are covered from head to toe. You can't even see their toes, let alone anything else. Then they come here, and we've got the OnlyFans Kim Kardashian culture. Women dress very differently here, and they can't take it. And some of them rape our women. You know, this is really bad, folks. The migration policies of this government and previous governments, the Tories were just about, have resulted in this country being a dangerous place for women, and that is a scandal, a massive, massive scandal. Let's go to Roy in Hampshire. Hi, Roy.
Hello, Kev, me old mate.
How you doing?
I'm all right, boy. Listen, Macron's coming over here next week, isn't he, on a state visit?
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's very exciting.
What Starmer wants to do is when he gets him outside Downing Street, have the microphone set up and say to Macron, when France was in its hour of need, on D-Day morning, thousands of our troops embarked to save your country. Thousands of our young men died. Now I'm asking you to help save our country and allow us to have Marines on your beaches to stop these people coming over.
Yeah, well, yeah, Roy, I like the idea. They'll never allow that. I mean, what in a sort of more realistic ambition, we could perhaps hope that Macron's coppers, les gendarmes, actually do something. I mean, they've taken now to... They stand on these beaches with riot shields. Why? And then they've taken to firing tear gas at the migrants as they shuffle across the beaches. And the migrants just walk round it. And then the police, the French cops, just stand there and watch the migrants wade into the sea, get into their dinghies and small boats and head for Britain. That's the story.
All you would need, mate, is a couple of dozen Royal Marines in their ribs to stop these people. Get up and slash the things when they're in 3-4 foot of water.
Yeah.
But old Lord Haw-Haw, he won't do it.
Yeah, no, he won't. Well, the thing is, Macron, it won't be allowed. I mean, it's a lovely idea. I wish. But Macron won't allow it. We've given France £800 million over the years for them to... And
the lives of our troops to save his country, mate.
Yeah, well, Macron's too young to even appreciate that level of sacrifice. He doesn't even like that kind of thing. That's yesterday. He's a very modern man. Anyway, Roy, you've alerted me to the excitement I should be feeling ahead of Macron's state visit next week. Ooh, I must open some champagne and put some bunting up. My God, what a waste of space. Roy, very good point though, mate. Very good point. And thank you for the call. Roy in Hampshire. Let's go to break. Come back. More calls, more messages. Stick around.
The United States is immensely powerful militarily and is therefore prepared to undertake actions which can hugely unbalance the world. The problem is it may be very powerful militarily and have the biggest and best bombs in the world, but it's proved to be very poor at building new states after it's destroyed the ones that existed before.
Yeah.
One thing particularly of Iraq and also in Afghanistan, where all the efforts of the United States over many years were totally defeated by the Taliban, who are now back in charge. So is this wise? The obvious answer is no.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Just 10 minutes to go. Don't forget, I'll be back tomorrow with another fantastic edition of the Political Asylum. Starts at 7 p.m. As always, I expect you to be there. Now, in the meantime, in just a little while, Ash will probably be in to tell you. I say Ash because I'm never quite sure whether it's Ash or Andre Walker. They're a hell of a double act. The double act from hell, in fact. But Ash will be in just a little while to tell you what the dastardly duo have got lined up for your entertainment from 10 p.m. into the small hours to 1 a.m. It's a great show, actually. So look forward to Ash gracing this studio with his presence in just a little while. In the meantime, we've still got time for a couple of calls. Let's talk to Dave in East Yorkshire. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. You want to talk about the grooming gangs?
I mean, the level of disgust and depravity and everything that goes with it. But I want to look at this from another angle, because the one thing I know about this culture, money is a big... The money was made off as terrible as it sounds. There were people, ringleaders, and other perpetrators were paying
it was a business. You're right, it's a business, and I'll tell you another aspect that people don't discuss. I think people died. Victims died, if not suicide, due to their injuries. So there are all sorts of aspects, and also we should remember it wasn't just Pakistani men of Pakistani origin. There were other cultures as well. So there's so many aspects of this that we've yet to touch on. I mean, we did a story the other day, Dave, a couple of days ago. You think all the victims are women. Well, we spoke to a brilliant young man, amazing young man, 19 years old. He's the victim. He's a victim because he is the result of a gang rape. His mother was 14, was raped by his father. So so many aspects of this we haven't really looked at. Do you see what I mean?
No, 100%. And what needs to happen, there needs to be some genuine people leading an inquiry that focuses on the ringleaders and all the bribes that went to counsellors and to police and everything else. And along with sentencing prison, these people need every bit of money taken off them. And do you know what? I think you'd find a lot of flights getting booked to Pakistan if they thought they had the chance of losing everything. You'd see the flights going in one direction, and that'd pick up.
And when they do get convicted, Dave, what I'd like to see, we did this story earlier, if you were tuned in, I don't know if you were, but, we got one rape gang member, he got 4 years for rape. Another one who was convicted of 11 rapes, got 14 years. If you think about that, that's not much more than 1 year per rape. If we're going to, they're now saying we're going to round them all up, we're going to prosecute them. Well, if we do, I hope we do, then let's give them proper sentences, yeah?
But what that says to me is, and this is perhaps controversial, but if you're a judge and you're not absolutely appalled and disgusted and overwhelmed by a sense of the bullying, for those poor victims, if you're not incensed by that and are throwing the book with the maximum, it says to me that you actually think that's okay. And I'd be looking at what do they get up to in their private lives. I mean, because it's that bad. It's that bad. And if you're dishing out 4 year sentences, like I heard you mention, similar to the lady who tweeted Sarah, I can't think of her name now. Lucy Connolly, is it?
Yeah, Lucy. Yeah. Well, she his Facebook post actually. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're thinking,
I'm wrong. No, you're right. It was Twitter, X as it is now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be looking at that judge who dished out a 4 year sentence for raping a young girl. I'd think, what does he think?
I'll tell you what it is, Dave. There is still this attitude, and there was then, and there still is now, that the victims, these poor, vulnerable young white girls, you shouldn't worry too much about them. And the rapists got pretty much had a pretty easy time of it. So we've got to recalibrate our approach to all of this. I mean, I hope the inquiry does something about it. But I'm not confident, but it's better than nothing. Dave, I'm with you all the way. Thanks very much for an excellent call. Got to go because the show's about to end. Dave in East Yorkshire. As Ash creeps into the studio, I'll quickly talk to Keith in Hampshire. Hi Keith, you reckon Harry and Meghan will get divorced? I think a lot of people share your fears about that marriage.
Are you a gambling man, Kev? Lovely to speak to you.
I don't mind a flutter now and again. What odds would you give on Harry and Meghan going their separate ways?
10 to 11 on. 10 to 11 on. Right.
You think as much as that? When?
Right. Between 2 and 3 years, because she's going to hang on in there. Right. That's my prediction 1. Prediction 2, she will write a book, Boo Hoo Hoo, I Lost My Prince, and make a fortune out of that. Prediction 3, she'll make a film.
Do you think she'll call it that, the book? Boo hoo hoo, I lost my prince.
Boo hoo hoo, I lost my prince, I am heartbroken.
That's a good title.
Right, okay. Prediction 3, she'll make a film about her life about Winfrey.
Yeah.
And I've got another prediction, right? That's a prediction, but I've got an idea for a business, a proposition, right?
Hey, go on.
Her jam has failed.
Scam jam, yeah.
Things have failed. Everything has failed. So I've come up with an idea for her if she can put it in, just put it out there to Meghan, right?
Yeah.
It's called Meghan, right? Glorious and sandwiches.
Like that idea.
And it's bloody marvellous.
Marvellous. Meghan, it's bloody marvellous. I like that. But I tell you what, Keith, to be serious for a second, I think in the back of her mind is the banker. And the banker is this. If I split up from Harry, I can sell that story in book form, in film form, in TV series form for an enormous amount of money. So I think you're absolutely right there, mate. 11 to 10 on, eh? Hardly worth a flutter, but I think you might be right. Keith, I've got to move on, but great call. Call me again. Keith in Hampshire. And Ash is in the studio. Hello, mate. You're looking very smart.
I know. Someone's phoned me up there, messaged me and said, you got to wear a tie and a jacket, flash ash, they called it.
Flash ash, what a pompous thing for somebody to tell you.
But,
It was me.
It was Kev, yeah. But it was a good idea. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you look good, mate. You look good.
Thanks,
I think I've reinvented you.
You have, man. Nice one.
Yeah.
So on the show today, we've got Phil Dave in, Bon Vivant.
Phil Dave, our colleague here, yes.
Pete Barnes, your mate as well from Fridays. Pete's in.
Is he with me tomorrow as well?
I think so. He gets about, doesn't he, that lad?
He's doing a shift, isn't he? Yeah.
He's doing a lot of stuff. And we're talking about the guy on crutches who came through. But it's equal opportunities. Surely he should be let in. It'd be, you can't have a go at him for that. But the thing is, he'll be able to claim more benefits, right? He'll get the disability benefits. So, but yeah, they just let anyone in.
Somebody texted in today about, I don't know if it's true, it's a migrant, a DIY migrant, apparently, who pitched up near Brighton on his own in a small one-person dinghy with his dog. Now, so he got all the way across the channel in this tiny little dinghy with his, presumably doing, I don't know.
Well, that's more honourable, isn't it?
I think he deserves to stay.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. That's the honourable way to do it.
Yeah.
He's not paying any gangsters. He's doing it the illegal way.
Yeah, and I like a man who sticks by his dog, who looks after
his
man.
Dog. And that's true. He brought now his dog gets quarantined, doesn't it, for 6 months?
Mainly I think we should stop these migrants coming, but I'll take the guy with the dog in his own dinghy, yeah?
Yeah, and they get the TV live.